Hey guys, I didn't show up yesterday to stream because I did not feel very well. What? What updates? Because, I don't know, some pressure in my head or whatever. Whatever, I feel better now. And we're gonna try to finish this in one blow. One shot. Whatever. I mean, depending if we have enough time or not. So let's load. When I woke up, the first thing I saw were Sadako and the calendar. The first one to wake up is supposed to tear yesterday's date off the calendar. Sometimes we both tear the calendar by mistake, so the date ends up 2 days ahead. Sadako likes to tear the calendar, and that makes her wake up early every morning. That would usually make me smile, but I felt devastated as soon as I saw the 22nd on the calendar. It's going to happen today. June 22nd, the day I die.
Good morning. Good morning, Rika! Morning, you two. You two? Are you still asleep? Me. There's someone else living in this house other than you and I. I just said good morning to that person as well. Hey! Don't try to spook me like that! Sadako will be able to sleep without holding your hand tonight, Rika.
Sometimes I feel like Sadako can see Hanyu, and it's as if the three of us are living together. That would be a lot of fun. It was time to go to school, but my body felt heavy. Today, I was going to die. Knowing that, I didn't even feel like going to school. The more I repeated the same life, the more precisely I can detect the day of my death. I always die on the day I feel this way.
Rika, we ought to get going soon. I'm taking the day off today. Rika, I heard from Keiichi. Are you troubled by something? Kind of, but not really.
What else is there left to do? Today's the day. It's too late now. But part of me still feels like doing something. I've been in this world only a few days. My emotions went up and down like a roller coaster. Sometimes I felt motivated to fight, and other times I felt desperate and gave up. Even though Keiichi and everyone else showed me such strength, I lacked the iron will to fight against my fate. The most confident I ever felt was when the dice all came up 6, a fortunate coincidence that was just handed to me. I was hoping to gain the courage to fight against my fate, but here I am today, conceding to destiny. Keiichi told me that we can make a miracle happen if we work together, but there was something he didn't teach me. He didn't teach me how to believe in that. If I don't believe that I can make a miracle happen, I won't be able to make even a crack in the wall of fate. It seems so simple, yet it's so difficult. I couldn't even decide whether I should be on the stage or stay off of it and remain as a spectator. I told Hanyu I haven't decided what to do after this world is over. But that's the spectator's point of view. For the people on the stage, this world is the only one. For them, the end of the world means the end of their lives. That's why they do anything to change their fate. That's why they can make a miracle happen. I never worked hard enough because I always knew I could reset my life. I thought I was just one pathetic girl who couldn't change her own fate. That's why I ended up here again today. It's as if I slacked off on my summer homework and woke up on the last day of vacation with nothing completed. What should I do? Should I not work on my assignment knowing that I'm not going to make it on time anyway? Or should I do whatever I can even though I may still get in trouble? Perhaps a miracle will happen. Perhaps the homework will be done overnight. Miracles don't happen to homework. I have to do the homework on my own. Without effort, nothing will ever get done. Without effort, not even one question will be solved.
Rika, I think you should spend your day doing whatever you want to. You can drink by the window all day and just you're doing.
You're suggesting that I shouldn't do anything since you know I'll get in trouble anyway. For Hanyu, it's not about the homework. It's more about the vacation itself. The vacation will be over, no matter how much I want it to continue. In her eyes, it's pathetic for me to make a big deal out of not completing my homework, and contemplating whether I should still work on it or not. On top of that, I'm saying I might as well die if my vacation is going to be over. If I was in her situation, I'd be laughing hysterically. Keiichi told me to seek everyone's help in order to finish my homework, but I'm not taking that offer, not only because I don't want to cause them trouble, but also because I don't want the teacher to know that I got help from them. If I was going to have regrets, I should have worked on it from the beginning. If I had no intention of working on it, I should have just relaxed without stressing so much. If I didn't care what other people thought, I should have asked for their help in the first place. Those are the 3 options I talked about with Hanyu yesterday. I didn't choose any of them. I've been living for over 100 years, but I still can't decide. 100 years were wasted.
Sadako, I'm not going to school today because I have a cold. Is that so? Do you want me to take your temperature? I need a rest today. Could you tell Chie that I'm not coming because I'm sick? Rika! Are you really sick? Keiichi told me that you're worried someone's trying to kill you. I'm very concerned, you realize? Thank you. You should go now. You'll be late.
Sadako looked at the clock and looked back at me again.
I'm very happy right now. I'm happy that I'm back with everyone and that I'm living with you again. So, if I lose you, I'll be living in a very sad world. Just think about that. The world without me? Yes! The world without you would be a very sad world.
I never thought about that. I thought that the world ended when I died. I never thought about the world after my death. That was never my concern.
So please take care of yourself. It isn't just me. If anything happens to you, everyone will be sad. Sadako. Rika, I'll leave you alone for today, but please talk to me if you have something on your mind. It's kind of upsetting how you won't talk to me.
Sadako seemed like she wanted to say more, but she looked at the floor instead. I know what she's trying to say. I realize how selfishly I've been living. It was wrong for me to look at this world as a stage play. But it's too late. It's too late now. Sadako left the house in a hurry. Hanyu and I were left alone inside the house.
I can tell you want to be alone, so I'll disappear until you call for me.
Thank you.
You're still yourself even after 100 years. You're not a 100-year-old transcendent. You deserve to think about your life as a young girl. I don't want to force you to think like a grown-up.
It's not your fault, Hanyu. I was just being arrogant.
Call me if you want to talk.
You're not crying anymore. You're not going to beg me not to give up on my life.
You're a stubborn person. I know it's better not to be too persistent with you.
After all these years, you know me very well.
I know you're already aware. But let me say this. Today's the day. Do your best. No matter what you do or don't do, this world is going to end today. But if you wish for it, you'll see a brand new day. Just like when the morning comes. You might find yourself back in June of this year again. But it'll still be a brand new day.
When I was younger, every day seemed so boring. Every morning, I thought the same things would happen again after I woke up. This just means that'll end up being true.
Just let me tell you to live this day productively. I'm not going to say anything else to you.
I knew today was the day, but it's still difficult to hear that from you. It's going to come to an end. Again, huh?
Yes, it's going to end again. Just like always.
Hanyu disappeared and it went completely quiet inside the house. How should I spend my day? How should I end this day? Should I work on my homework knowing that I'm not going to make it on time? I only have half a day left. I have to do my best. I should think about what I can do. This world is supposed to be a happy place. People are enjoying their lives. I should have enjoyed my life more too. I don't mean in that I should have lived my life in blind optimism. It means I should have enjoyed my life by fully experiencing both happiness and sadness. If I did that, I wouldn't be as worried about what to do after my death. I should have simply lived with all my might. When the time comes, it'll be over. Today, I will live. It's a very important phrase, but it sounds meaningless when I say it, because I repeat this meaningless life as many times as I wish. While Sadako was at school, I washed the dishes. Hanyu would usually stay with me when Sadako wasn't around, but she's not here right now. It's been a while since I was all by myself. I never thought anyone could feel so lonely while washing the dishes. I'm going to die today anyway. This world is ending today. Why should I wash these dishes? That's because I'm thinking about Sadako. We'll have to move on with her life after tomorrow. I'll encounter a new Sadako in the next world. But I realized something after hearing what Sadako told me earlier. After I'm dead, I wonder how Sadako will move on with her life. The worlds I've left in the past all went on without me. I wonder if Sadako will be able to cook without me. I wonder if she'll go on shopping on her own. I wonder if she can wash her clothes by herself. I've been avoiding thinking about this, but Sadako and my other friends must have been overcome by sadness. It's too late for me to think about this, but I started feeling like I want to cry. I'm feeling like this because I don't want to leave this world. This is the world that I've always wanted. It's my hope that I can continue to live in this world beyond June 1983. After a long journey, I finally ended up in this world. But I was able to truly live in this ideal world for only one night, the night of Watanagashi. This world will be shattered again after I die tonight. We finally save Sadako, and all our friends assume that our happy life has returned. However, I'm going to die tonight. They'll mourn for me. We worked so hard to make this miracle happen, but they're going to lose their happy world in just one day. Am I going to start a new life in the next world as if nothing happened? I'd live 3 days in my new world. 3 sad days were going to pass in this world. That's no good. I can't think straight anymore. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing from my eyes. I hugged Sadako's pillow and cried. I could smell her scent. After I die, Sadako will probably hug my pillow and cry just like this. Is everyone else going to cry for me too? I'm sure they will. And they'll be sad. Not about my death. They'll be sad not because I'm dead, but because I never told them what was troubling me so much. I wonder if they're going to feel regret. Will they wonder what they could have done to open up my heart? What they could have done to help me in my time of trouble? Will they wonder what they could have done to save me? I felt miserable and frustrated. I held Sadako's pillow and continued to cry. And the next moment I heard the phone ringing. I tried to ignore it, but it wouldn't stop ringing. I picked up the phone, hoping that my friends would call to check up on me. However, I heard a weird guy's voice coming from the receiver. Hello, this is the Okinogi Gardeners. Is this the Furude residence?
Okinogi.
It was Okinogi from the Mountain Dogs. It's the first time I received a phone call from him. I'm calling because I have something urgent to ask you. I called the school, but they told me that you're sick today. Are you feeling alright? I'm not alright. This is the day I die. I knew he had no idea, but I couldn't help but feel upset.
It's only a cold. I just want to rest today.
Really? Well, that's a very fortunate coincidence.
What?
I had no idea what made him say that he was glad I was sick.
Why is it fortunate for you if I'm home?
Well, we got a tip from Tokyo that someone is planning to murder you.
What do you mean?
Tokyo was investigating the murder of Tomitake and Takano. Their investigation concluded. There's a high possibility that Dr. Irie is pulling the strings.
Irie is behind everything?
This is the first time I've heard something like this. This isn't something that happens at random. It's the very first time. That means it's not just a coincidence. I'm hearing this now because of something I did differently in this world. I've done many different things differently in this world, though. I can't tell which decision led me to this result. However, maybe this is something that could change my life drastically. Okinogi continued to explain to me. There had been budget cuts to their research, and they were scheduled to be shut down within a few years. Irie was strongly against that because he was embezzling their research money by requesting bigger and bigger budgets. Because they were going to cancel their research, he tried to sell the research data and make a lot of money off of it.
Is that really true?
I know it's hard to believe, but it is. I always thought he was kind of suspicious myself. I think I can say with certainty that Irie is not that type of person. I've been around him for years, and as far as I know, he's not a bad guy. He doesn't even have the guts to be one. He pretends to be cold-hearted for the sake of his research, but he can't shake his regrets. He's simply a nice person. It's hard to believe that he was embezzling money from Tokyo. I'm starting to be suspicious of Takano. But she's actually a nice person too. She seemed mean at times, but she could also act as innocent as a child. However, I'm starting to suspect her because Oishi told me the body they found in Gifu might not be Takano's body. Okinogi works for Takano. That means I can't trust Okinogi. In other words, I can trust Irie because Okinogi is clearly trying to set him up. On the other hand, if Takano isn't guilty, I could be making a huge mistake. Yet it always seemed to me as though Tomitake and Irie were good friends. If Tokyo had suspected that Irie was embezzling money from them, Tomitake would have treated him far more coldly. Anyway, at the very least, Tomitake of Tokyo did at least have a bad impression of Irie. The Irie of the Irie Institution and Tomitake of Tokyo were good friends. Tomitake of Tokyo and Takano of Tokyo were good friends. Takano of Tokyo and Okinogi of Tokyo were superior and subordinate. But Okinogi of Tokyo says that Tokyo is suspicious of Irie. This doesn't make sense. Everyone seemed to be good friends at first glance, but the links don't connect from start to finish. Irie thinks he has a positive relationship with Tokyo, but Tokyo is suspicious of Irie? That's just odd. The chain should be connected, but one of the links is twisted out of order. It's breaking the loop. Tokyo is conducting further investigations at the moment. We also have information that Irie is trying to use you as a bargaining chip, and for that reason, we've been told to tighten up your security starting today. That's why I'm lying your home right now. There are 20 security guards patrolling the Fruity Shrine in 3 shifts. You may not notice, but they're there for you.
That's a lot of security. How long are you going to guard me like that?
Until Tokyo feels you're no longer in danger, until this whole case is resolved. That should have been good news for me, since today was the day I was supposed to die. This is the exact kind of security I wanted. That's why I let Takano into the ritual storehouse. However, I have a bad feeling about this. Tokyo should be my ally. But that arrangement is just like Irie's relationship with Tokyo. Everything seems to be order from my end. And when you trace it the other way, it feels like something's off at some point. I have this uncomfortable feeling because I have few uncertainties about Tokyo. Tokyo and Irie have strong ties, but they're suspicious of him. Is Irie actually a bad guy? Is Takano still alive? And is she the one who killed Tomitake? Those questions, more and more, made me uncertain about accepting help from Tokyo. I thought Tokyo as a single organization would move with a single intention, but in reality, they have multiple different intentions. In other words, there must be multiple, what's the word? I see in the political section of newspapers all the time. Ah, right, factions. Are there 2 factions in Tokyo? One that wants to remain friendly with Irie, and one that looks down on him. That would explain the irregularities I'm sensing. Maybe I've been talking to Oishi too much, but if he hadn't told me that he was suspicious of Takano, would I have believed Okinogi without a doubt? Well, maybe not. Even without Oishi's theory, Okinogi still sounded very suspicious. Irie was loyal to his research on Hinamizawa syndrome. Tokyo understood this, so his relationship with Tomitake wasn't particularly strained. Plus, Irie isn't the type of person who would commit embezzlement. He's a law-abiding citizen with a good moral character. Of course, he has some ambition as a researcher, But that only goes as far as common sense expects any researcher to. It's nothing like the criminal aspirations that would lead to a major embezzlement. A great number of the mountain dogs were going to be guarding me. This is what I've been wanting in my previous lives, but for some reason I couldn't be happy about it. I couldn't help but feel depressed. If this house is like an empty birdcage, then they'd be the fox with feathers stuck to its face. I don't know if I can really trust the people who are protecting me. I try to recall more about Okanogi. The mountain dogs have been protecting me for years. Okanogi proved his skills in many of my other lives. To them, I'm something of a special existence. If something happens to me, it would be a disaster. The Erie Institution is there to keep Himizawa syndrome under control. The mountain dogs are there to protect me from evildoers. So why would they try to betray me now? I thought about it for a while, but still had no idea. I just know one thing for sure. I can't feel comfortable with the protection of the mountain dogs alone. I want something other than Tokyo protecting me. But I bet such a person wouldn't believe me. Wait, what about Oishi? I've been keeping in touch with Oishi since the other day. He still thinks the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa are all planned by the village authorities. If he believes that, then he might believe that my life is in danger. For him, I'm a special person with a lot of useful information. The mountain dogs hate the police, though. When I asked them to assassinate Tako's uncle, they refused because he was being watched by the police. I would be relieved if the police were guarding me along with the mountain dogs. That way the dogs wouldn't be able to harm me, even if they work for the evil faction of Tokyo. Besides that, if my suspicions toward them turned out to be baseless, more protection couldn't hurt. I'm sure that double security will keep me safe.
I understand. I'll stay home for today.
Yes, please do. And please don't go out of the city and try to pick a fight with delinquents. Anyway, please take care of yourself.
I have a cold, so may I at least go to the clinic?
You never know what might happen, so please don't go near there for a while. I don't want them to inject you with anything suspicious.
Irie would never do anything like that.
That's what we want to believe, but you need to be careful of him until things are cleared up.
So I have no choice, huh?
No?
You totally picked up the local dialect, Okanogi. You used to have a Tokyo accent before.
I'd like to think if I can fix it if asked, though, but it's my job to blend it with the local culture. I finished speaking with him. As soon as I hung up the phone, I opened my phone book and looked for a number to the Okinomiya Police Department. Okay, hold on. I have to adjust my seat. And I have to blow my nose because I was crying. It was nearly noon. It felt like the pages of the phone book were sticking to my skin. I must have been in a hurry. I really don't want to die. I want to stay in this world. I don't want to leave this perfect world. I'm trying to do something because I don't want to die. I'm trying to live with all of my might. I'm trying to enjoy my life. For the first time, I was spending my last day positively without drinking wine until I was drunk. Hello, it's Oishi. Sorry for the wait. I was getting ready to leave for the Gifu Prefecture. I was going to browbeat them until they own up to botching the case.
Gifu? You're talking about Takano's body?
Yeah. My colleagues are convinced that Takano's body is hers, but I'm still not satisfied. That's why I'm going there myself. If that body isn't Takano, this is going to be a whole different story. We can put out a search for her as a material witness, see? Fortunately, I have a lot of connections in the Gifu Police Department. I'll go have a nice long talk with them. It looked like Oishi was proactively moving forward with their investigation. If that body really is Takano, that would be sad for her, but it would give me reason to trust the mountain dogs. If that's not Takano, then it would tell me that she's part of this whole incident. No matter what the result is, it'll give me some kind of hint, but only if I'm still alive. Really, it's unfortunate. Oishi is leaving for Gifu. He can't be around to protect me.
Oishi, some stranger called me today. I don't know who it was, but he said he's one of the villagers.
He didn't tell you who he was. I see. Please go on. What did he tell you?
He told me someone is going to kill me. He said they might kill me tonight at the earliest.
Is that true? I see. That's not outside the realm of possibility. I see. I have to leave soon, but I'll send some officers over there. I'll tell them they keep you safe. You're home right now, right? Do you have a cold or something? Just stay home and lock your doors and windows. I'll send someone over immediately. Okay, hold on. What's wrong, Oishi? You'll be late for your appointment. I just got a call from Furude Rika. Someone called and warned her that she was going to be murdered. Someone's trying to kill Furude Rika, but why? I thought she was like the village mascot. It might be a warning for contacting me about the incidents in the village. I don't know if they're really trying to kill her, but she's just a young girl. I'm sure she's very frightened right now. Plus, if we lose her trust now, that might hurt our relationship in the future. 2 or 3 officers are enough, but please send them over at once. Also get a hold of her local officer and have them reassure her some. Yes, sir! Fururika might have some kind of hint regarding the mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Oishi couldn't let her die. We should head back to Hinamizawa as soon as we get the Gifu Police Department to spill the beans. This is going to be a pretty tight schedule for our business trip. This will be a piece of cake. Well, by the way, if you've read Umineko, one of these guys is supposed to be Hibari something 13, and that's supposed to be Amakusa, but since these are all translated in English, I don't know who the fuck is who. Anyway. And I think they're the mountain hounds, but they're named after birds. Anyway, alright, let's continue. This is Skylark, a local police officer on the shrine property. He's heading toward R's house. Roger, continue observation. Encountering R. She let the officer inside. R called the Okinomiya Police Department. She requested protection on her own. Did she tell him about us? She told him she got an anonymous call. I'm sure that's made up. The Okinomiya Police Department is sending a few more officers to your location. What? Unless you trust the mountain dogs? This is trouble. It's going to prove more difficult to continue the mission. Is it possible she somehow found out? Well, we're probably safe. Just tell the team to be aware of the officers. We don't want them to become suspicious of us. Roger. HQ to all units. There are police officers around the Furude Shrine. Please be mindful of them. We may have to postpone tonight's mission. I'll call her, but I'm sure the Major will order a go anyway. Everything's already set up for R to be discovered dead tomorrow morning, so we can move on to the next stage. But we don't want the police to suspect us. If they start suspecting you, just leave quietly. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Oishi had called the officers pretty quickly. The officer who was in the area arrived within 10 minutes after I spoke with him. He asked me what kind of phone call I received today. I decided to make up a whole story. It'll be all over if they check my call history, but I'm sure Oishi won't bother doing anything like that. He thinks I'm worth protecting because I have information about the incidents in Hinamizawa. The policeman is one of the villagers, so I know him very well. More officers are coming to Okinomiya Police Department. The officer told me to relax because he'd stay with me until then. Oishi must have thought I was frightened half to death after getting a threatening phone call. After about 30 minutes, 4 officers in plain clothes arrived at the scene. The local officer returned to his police box. We heard the whole story. We'll guard the shrine, so please call us if something happens. Detective Oishi will be here this evening. I was relieved to hear that Oishi would be coming.
Thank you very much.
At least one person will be downstairs. I'm sorry, but is it okay if we use your restroom? Also, will you give us one of your spare keys just in case?
Sure, you can use this restroom too.
My house is on the 2nd floor of the storage building. The 1st floor contains emergency supplies for the village. I'm happy to know at least one police officer will be there for me. The officers confirmed their positions on the map of the shrine. 1 will be in the storage building, and 2 more will walk around the shrine property. Also, one more officer will be standing in front of the stairs that lead to the shrine. This world's Oishi is certainly reliable. In my other lives, Oishi tend to look at me as his enemy. However, in this world, he thinks I'm on his side. I'm sure it's because we all came friendly with him around the time we saved Sadako. It was unfortunate at the time, but perhaps the return of Sadako's uncle was a necessary event. If Okanogi was right about Ire, he wouldn't be able to come near me with 20 mountain dogs and 4 police officers protecting me. If Onogi was the bad guy, they'd be discouraged from acting by the presence of the police. Not too different from giving garlic to a vampire. This is the best protection I've had in 100 years. Even so, am I still going to be killed tonight? I need to do whatever I can. I should struggle as hard as possible. I won't give up. I won't even think about my next life. This is what enjoying life is all about. This is what living seriously is all about. Hanyu, are you there?
I'm here.
What do you think about all this?
I have to admit, I've never seen anything like this before.
Is it still wrong for me to expect something different this time?
I'm not going to hope for anything. I'll just have to accept whatever the result is.
Hanyu's still acting like a bystander. I knew she was going to say something like that. A part of me was hoping that she would say something more positive. Upon hearing her say what she did, I felt a little disappointed and wondered why Hanyu refused to be anything but an onlooker. I always thought it was normal for her, because she was a special existence. I also convinced myself I had to be an onlooker too, since I was a similar being. However, I can't just let go of everything and become a bystander. I can't become like her. I can't stop for hoping for a better life for Furude Rika. That hope was betrayed so many times, and my heart was crushed countless more. That's why I stopped expecting anything to turn out the way I wanted. So is this Hanyu the same way? Are you also afraid of being hurt? I only live for 100 years, but I know how frightening it is to have high expectations. Hanyu should also be aware of that, so she's lived far longer than me. I always thought that Hanyu was a special existence, but except for the fact that she's invisible, everything about us is the same. She has the same thoughts and feelings as everyone else, yet I still saw her as a special existence. That's why I just assumed that her mind worked in a different way.
I've been living for longer than you. I know that there are more sad things than happy things in this world, and that your hopes will always be betrayed. That's why I don't want you to be hurt anymore.
So you're not expecting anything from this world either. I still have hope that this world might be different, but you think I'll just be killed again.
Oh, that's not what I'm thinking.
Hanyu looked uncomfortable. She had no doubts that I'd be killed again that night. That's what it means to not have hope. But she can't just own up to it because she doesn't want to hurt my feelings. You're the same as Sadako. You're waiting for some stroke of luck or some miracle to come and help you. You're afraid of fighting. You think that being patient is the same as being strong. That's how I was just until a little while ago. Hanyu looked down and bit her lip. She couldn't deny what I just said. I know you've heard it over and over. Miracles will not happen unless everyone works together. That means you have to believe too. A miracle will never happen unless everyone believes in it. What I just said sounded as though I was blaming her for the miracle not happening. Maybe I was too harsh to her. I stayed quiet. Hanyu looked at the floor, shaking. Then she looked up to me and spoke. I noticed sadness, but a little bit of anger in her eyes.
I can't even touch people or talk to them. You think I'm just like everyone else, even though all I can do is watch? Do you understand how it feels not to be involved in anything?
There was a slight severity in the tail end of Hanyu's speech. Except for me, she can't communicate with anyone else in this world. She hates to be reminded of that. I'm sorry. Let's stop this. I don't want to have a fight with you. I don't want to spend the rest of the time I'm alive in an argument.
I don't want to argue with you either.
But let me just say one thing. You're my friend. I don't want my friend to tell me not to expect too much out of my life.
I'll apologize for that, but you should try respecting my opinions too.
She can be very stubborn about this sometimes. Hanyu seems weak on the outside, but she actually has a very strong moral code, one that she couldn't bend for anything. She apologized to me, but she wasn't being honest. She still wasn't expecting anything good to come out of this world. She still thinks I'm going to die pitifully. That's why she refuses to believe in miracles. I've been living with her long enough to read her mind. I feel bad for her in a sense. She's been living too long and lost all of her hope. Hanyu told me to call her if anything else happened and soon disappeared. I'm sure she's still around. She's probably still watching me as if she's watching a TV show. The time of my death is slowly approaching. Will I be able to survive this time? It's been a long time since I faced fear without drinking wine. Hold on. Okay. I was left with nothing else to do after washing the dishes and cleaning the room. The mountain dogs and the police were protecting me. Just in case, I figured I should leave something behind for Sadako. Should I write down some recipes for her in her notebook? Will she be happy if I leave a will for her? I laughed at my own foolishness. No one would be happy to read a will. If I die, they'll be devastated and wonder why I didn't talk to them. That's exactly how I felt when Sadako didn't ask for any help when her uncle was abusing her. I wonder, will I be killed before Sadako even comes home? My memories of these days are never very clear. The day I die is always very vague in my recollections. It's fine if I'm murdered before Sadako gets home. But if I'm murdered after then, will they kill her along with me? I don't want that to happen. It's bad enough already that I end up killed. If Sadako's murdered along with me each time, that would be too much to bear. Just how much have I ignored other people's sadness with that rash idea that the world ends with I die? Thinking about that made me feel truly ashamed of myself. I turned on the TV to try and reduce the silence, but it didn't help at all. Worse, not only did the TV not help with my fears, it felt like it symbolized Hanyu and my allies, making me feel even more unpleasant. It was past lunchtime, nearly 3 p.m. School should be out soon. I'm not here today, so they probably won't do a club activity. Sadako should be home shortly. It seems I'm going to survive until she gets home after all. If she comes home and asks me what's troubling me, I might end up telling her the truth. If I talk to someone, that person will be demoned away by the mountain dogs. That's why I've never spoken to anyone about it. I didn't want my friends to get into danger. But if Sadako was also murdered likewise in every world because she was involved with me, then we're doomed to share the same fate. It's better to know the truth than to be killed without knowing what's going on. But I'm under very strict security right now. I might be able to survive this world. If that's the case, I shouldn't talk to Sadako about it. It won't be so easy to talk to my friends after all. Moments later, I heard a surprised yell of Sadako's yell coming from downstairs. She returned. It sounded like she was really scared to see a stranger in their home. I've had to tell her that the police were here. That would be tantamount to telling her that someone's out to kill me. I don't know how to explain it to her or how much I should tell her. However, my thoughts were soon interrupted by the noise of a crowd. Sadako hadn't come home alone.
I'm home! Hey, Rika, what's with that police officer downstairs?
Why is that guy guarding your house? What the heck did you do?
Mi-chan, that's not the right question. What happened to you, Rika?
There were some strangers at the shrine grounds, too. Are they also police officers? This isn't normal, you know. We don't know what's troubling you, but we're all here to cheer you up. It looks like something bad's going on. I couldn't stop laughing upon seeing everyone rush into my house, all asking the same questions. It made me feel as though all the depressed all day was just a waste of time.
Rika, what on earth is so funny? You need to explain to us what's going on. There's nothing to explain. I'm getting murdered today.
Everyone already knew I'd been telling people about how I was going to get killed, but they were surprised to hear it from my own mouth. Hey, Rika! I heard from you yesterday. You told me you think someone's trying to kill you, but I thought it was one of your jokes then. Now, though, you're not fooling me anymore. You have to talk to your friends. Keiichi spoke with a harsh tone, as though I had made him upset. As my friend, he must think it's unforgivable that I didn't talk to him about it. He wasn't the only one feeling that way, though. Every single one of them was looking at me with worried expressions on their faces.
Rika! Everybody here saved me. I want to do something for my friends as well. I'm glad to hear that. Remember what you told me? You told me to have the courage to fight, but just look at you. You're not even fighting for yourself.
Sadako pointed out something that I've already realized. I had no way to argue back.
You told me that you'll put us in danger by talking to us, but all of us are already involved, no matter if you talk to us or not.
That's right! We're your friends! If you're in danger, all of us are in danger too! When Sadako was in danger, we all fought for her, remember? It's the same thing! If your life's in danger, then I think it's time for the Sotozaki family to step in. We're way more reliable than the police. Isn't that right, sis? That's right! You have to talk to us! What kind of trouble are you in? Who the hell is threatening to kill you? Based on how you're acting, I assume you don't even know who it is. If you did know, it wouldn't be as big as a problem.
Me. You're all so smart. You know everything, even though I haven't talked to you yet. This is not a time for jokes, Rika! You must talk to us! What happened? What's all this about? You don't call the police unless you're really in danger, no? How dare you talk to the police before talking to us? Is that something you're uncomfortable talking to us about? Rika would never have any issue that would be uncomfortable to talk about!
Calm down, Sadako. Rika's the leader of the Furude family. She's worshipped as the reincarnation of Oyashiro in this village. She might have been in trouble for a long time, even though we didn't know about it. Maybe she just didn't want to talk to us about some trouble, because we're all trying to have a fun life here in this village. That's probably what it was, right? So it has something to do with Rika and the village. It must involve those crazy old people who worship Oyashiro. So it must have something to do with the curse of Oyashiro. I know. I bet it's related to what happened to Tomitake and Takano.
Why would Tomitake's murder and Rika's life be the cause to be danger? That's too big of a leap.
Oop, I messed up. It's crazy just to think that someone's trying to kill her anyway. Rika's bound by more obligations than we know. She probably couldn't talk about them. I'm right, aren't I? It's not a very fun topic, which is why you couldn't tell your friends, right?
I cannot believe this. Is this really true, Rika? Is it really true you're involved in Tomitake's murder case?
I remained silent, but with my mouth open. I hadn't answered any of their questions, but they continued to ask and had eventually hit the nail on the head. It was more surprising than anything. But then again, these are, after all, my beloved clubmates. I laughed once more. My issues and my secrets are so devastating to me, but they stopped sounding like such a big deal when everyone talked about them together. They knew exactly what was going on without me saying a word. In that moment, I realized just how powerless I am. I had to tip my hat to them. Everything seemed so foolish now. And so I decided to just tell them everything.
If you want me to talk, I will. But I'm sure you won't believe me.
We will! As long as you tell the truth, we'll never doubt it. Everyone's expression turned grave as they vowed not to make light of anything I told them. And so I was going to tell them everything. I want to see if they really will believe me or not.
In that case, I'll tell you. I think I'm being targeted by the same person who killed Tomitake and Takano.
Then, are they the true culprits behind the series of mysterious deaths?
I don't know about that. But it's possible. I don't understand. Why would Tomitake and Takano's murderer also want to kill Rika?
Oishi thinks Takano is the culprit. Okanogi thinks Irie is the culprit. Either way, it sounds like someone from Tokyo is trying to kill me. I can't tell if it's Takano or Irie, but I do know that to them I'm like a trump card. In order to explain everything, I need to talk to them about the relationship between Hinamizawa, Tokyo, and the Irie clinic. I don't think they'll believe me, It's such a ridiculous story. But who would ever believe it if not my friends?
You'll all be in danger if I talk to you about this. Are you sure you still want to hear it?
Of course! If you're in danger, we're in danger. Everyone nodded at Keiichi's words.
Well then.
I'm going to see how everyone reacts. I'm going to ascertain what friendship is all about. With a nod of my own, I opened my mouth and began to explain. Okay, I don't know.
There's a disease unique to Hinamizawa. I'm not sure what it's officially called, but I've always known it as Hinamizawa syndrome.
Everyone glanced back and forth at each other when I mentioned the term. They never heard of it before. The name Hinamizawa syndrome was actually been around since before the war. It's a general term for the severe homesickness and mental instability that people from Hinamizawa experience when outside of the village. People in Hinamizawa have refused to leave the village since the era of Onigafuchi. The villagers believe that they'd be cursed by Oyashiro if they left, and the people who did it often came back because of the curse. In general, it used to be thought as only as a severe homesickness. But during the war, soldiers from Hinamizawa became mentally deranged in faraway places. That does sometimes happen in war, but what was unique about the soldiers from Hinamizawa was the way that they had killed their own comrades and at the end, ended their own lives. One doctor became curious about these cases and studied those soldiers. That was when they found out it was actually a disease only found in Hinamizawa. According to this doctor, their strange behavior was not the result of their culture, but it was a mental disease triggered by external circumstances. A mental disease with external cause is different from a psychological illness. It is a result of some kind of physical disorder, and it causes people to become mentally unstable when something triggers it. There are 3 categories of externally caused mental diseases: traumatically induced, substance abuse induced, and chemical imbalance induced. Traumatically induced disorders are cases resulting from damage to the brain from trauma or infection that influences the mind. This is the reason personalities can change as a result of head injuries. Substance abuse, as the name suggests, refers to cases where drugs, especially alcohol or stimulants, have influenced the mind. The last category is chemical imbalances. This is the case where some ailment in the patient's body causes abnormal secretions of bodily chemicals, which then influence the brain's functions. This may sound odd, but it's been said that people tend to become depressed when they have a cold. We all experience the ways of which physical sickness can cause a buildup of negative emotions. However, with chemical imbalances, the cause is more direct. People's emotions aren't born from our hearts. Everyone should know that logically that they are the result of chemicals secreted by our organs in our body as necessary. So when organs operating the secretion of those emotions, controllers malfunction, it causes them to secrete abnormal amounts. The thyroid gland, for example, secretes hormones that regulate emotions. When that gland is defective, the balance of those hormones become unstable. This will cause people to have not only a physical sickness, but also a mental sickness such as depression. People don't get mentally ill just because of mental problems. Human beings are made out of meat. We get mentally ill when that meat is defective. The doctor studying Hinamizawa syndrome also came up with a theory. He suggested that there is a pathogen endemic to Hinamizawa. If the hosts stray too far from home, affects the chemicals in their brain and causes them to hallucinate. The villagers' belief in Oyashiro is certainly related to this endemic disease. People in Onigafuchi knew about this syndrome. They knew that they couldn't survive outside the village. They also didn't want anyone else to enter the village because they would get infected too. They took this disease as a curse, not a sickness. The most significant symptoms of this disease are antisocial behavior and extreme persecution complex. The eventual and self-ending of life caused by the defects in the lymph nodes are also a unique characteristic. The unusual behavior of terminal patients is what inspired the legend of the demons coming out of the swamp and attacking the villagers. Basically, sick villagers developed severe persecution complexes and wounded up killing other villagers. After a long time, the survivors of the disease started to comprehend its rules. They discovered that the disease is incurable once you contract it. That's why they started barring outsiders from entering the village. Also, once you become ill, you'll begin developing a persecution complex. This can happen to anyone in the village. The doctrine of Oyashiro says that the blood of humans and demons were mixed together, and that of Oyashiro is control over the violent blood of demons. People said that you'd be cursed if you didn't follow Oyashiro's rules. That could also be understood to mean that as long as you follow Oyashiro's rules, you could cope with this endemic disease. This is what was meant by the description in Oyashiro's legend that said they appeared, unified the humans and demons, and made them live together in this village. Then the most important part, the rules to prevent symptoms from appearing. Those rules are the taboos, and the people were strictly taught that Oyashiro would curse them if they broke those rules. The horrible bloody traditions of the village were probably performed in order to force people to respect these taboos. There are several ways to keep the disease under control, but there are also two main conditions for doing so. The first one is to prevent suspicion. When the villagers are suspicious of someone, it can trigger their persecution complex, which can lead to them developing terminal symptoms. That is why they made sure to have a tightly knit community, so that people wouldn't suspect each other. Since the terror of Oyashiro's curse is emphasized, many don't know this, but she's also a god of marriage and neighborly love. However, this condition is not as important as the other one. Indeed, Oyashiro isn't even recognized as a god of friendship in Hinamizawa anymore, and is only worshipped as such in Okinomiya's Hirosaka district. Now for the other condition. This one is much clearer and was practiced more strictly. If villagers leave Hinamizawa, they will fall ill quickly, proportional to the distance from the village. Villagers nowadays will not get sick as rapidly, even if they leave town or go out of the country for a long time. However long ago, they would fall ill as soon as they left the village. It's very unfortunate that Keiichi got infected so soon after he moved to the village. It was also very unfortunate that he got sick just because he left the village for a few days to go to his relative's funeral in that one world. That's why Hanyu felt so bad for him at that time and kept apologizing to him over and over. Although no matter how much she apologized, he never heard her voice. As in an Onikakushi, I feel like somebody's been apologizing to me over and over again. God, I remember that's one of my favorite lines. Like, I don't. It's like, they didn't add it in the anime. It's like, this turned into a long discussion, but these rules etched around Oyashiro's curse represent the ancient wisdom of how to cope with the Hinamizawa syndrome. Is there any way to use this mental disease for military purposes? The aforementioned doctor insisted that there was, but the military didn't listen to him at all at the time. They were interested in developing a weapon that could create dramatic change in their war efforts. They didn't have any money to spare for the research of a strange disease. In this way, research on Hinamizawa syndrome was abandoned. Then the war ended. Japan started its reconstruction under American leadership. However, some powerful people in the political world didn't want to accept the American way of thinking. Some of them were fired by the GHQ, but they still stayed on as advisors to the government since Japan has a culture of respecting the elderly. Eventually, a political organization was formed, the object of which was to restore Japan to the way it was before the war. In the beginning, this organization was a very small group. It was just a gathering of 2 or 3 individuals who shared the same ideals, blowing hot air at a restaurant. Those 2 or 3 hit it off with each other and grew to a size of class reunion. That group became a rather sizable organization, eventually becoming a political one. Well, it would be more accurate to call them a secret society. The secret society eventually came to be called by the name of the place where it was based, Tokyo. There are many other mysteries about Tokyo. One thing I knew for sure is that it's composed of old men from Japan's political stage, one with strong power to indirectly influence the government in vast assets that meant they could work from the shadows. They were also connected to various corporations, and their goal was to return Japan to the way it was before the war. In other words, not good people. Of course, that was a pretty ridiculous goal. It was nothing more than an idea in their minds immediately after the war, back when they were still blowing their heads to the occupation forces of those white barbarians. Once Japan's post-war reconstruction began, Tokyo steadily became a shell of its former self. But it didn't totally become a shell. It culled the fat. Japan regained its peace, and years passed. However, some people still continue to believe that Japan had been better before the war. They were determined to return the country to those times. So Tokyo plotted how to restore pre-war Japan from many angles. They approached the problem economically, internationally, and militarily as well. Japan has no nuclear armaments due to the 3 non-nuclear principles. In other words, this country has to brown-nose America as long as they hold nuclear weapons. The number one priority of Tokyo is to be independent from America. They want this country to be on equal footing, and to obtain a weapon of mass destruction that isn't nuclear in nature. This is the reason why they started thinking about utilizing Higurashi syndrome. However, they couldn't study this disease openly. In order to utilize it for military purposes, they had to hide its existence from the disease itself. So they enlisted one young researcher, Kyosuke Irie. I need to make it clear that Irie isn't some far-right supporter of this secret society. That's basically, Okay. He's just a young, capable doctor and an earnest researcher. He published an innovative thesis, but other academics thought he was too radical. However, that convinced Tokyo that he was the only researcher suitable to study Higurashi syndrome. As someone young and ambitious, Irie was thrilled to take on the project of studying this very disease, with a large budget, and a large staff, in his own facility. But researching the disease would mean that he'd end up infected too. No one would want to take such a dangerous research. He really was too young. With this other option being wearing down his youth working hard at a night shift for a local practice, he wanted to answer the expectations of the sponsor who carefully selected him. In the end, Irie was able to uncover, as hypothesized, the Higurashi syndrome was a unique infectious disease. He developed both a treatment and a vaccine. Irie was extremely talented. By the way, if you haven't realized it, I'm reading it in my regular voice because I don't want to read all this in a different voice because it's a lot of information. The Irie Institution was formed to study the disease. Irie was not only the head of the organization, but Tokyo still sent out a supervisor because when all was said and done, he was just a researcher. That supervisor was Takano Mio. Takano's job with the institute was to act as a go-between for Tokyo and Irie and manage the research progress and preserve its secrecy. The latter was the most important part of her job. She had to do her best to prevent people from finding out that Irie was researching the disease or even that the disease exists at all. The Mountain Dogs were formed for that purpose. They were under Takano's command. Their job is to prevent the Institute's secrets from being discovered. The Mountain Dogs are one special forces unit specializing in unconventional warfare and owned by Tokyo with its vast influence on the SDF. Tokyo had set their eyes on the likelihood that a small elite squad of covert operatives would be a trump card in the anti-nuke era, so they vigorously investigated those options. This is a worldwide trend since the Cold War. Everyone avoided sending troops directly to their enemy's doorstep. Japan was also trying to be a part of this world. As a result, by 1983, even the police have been forming secret special forces units. Professional Police Squad 2, the one who intervened when Rena had laid siege to her school, changed their name to Zero Company and grew into an anti-terrorism squad that handled hijackings around the Kansai airport area. The National Police Agency Squad 6 was formed as a counter-terrorism squad for Narita Airport 2, and they later changed their name to 7th Company as well. Okay. They theorized that world where nations possess nukes they can't use. Small elite special forces disrupting metropolitan areas would be the new way of waging war. So in 1977, they developed the SAT's predecessor, the Special Task Force SAP, to serve in the National Police's agency trump card in securing the peace. Likewise, the Japan Coast Guard established their Special Task Force, the SST, in anticipation of the unconventional warfare on the coast. There are several known special force units in Japan. Okay. When they hear phrases like special forces, most people tend to think of a movie or a comic book. However, these units actually exist and are protecting Japan in secret. During the famous incident of suspicious boats off the coast of Noto Peninsula, the news reported that the boats sank before the helicopter squad trained in gun battles, so the squad was recalled. But that was because of the Coast Guard's SST acted. However, the news never mentions the SST or any other special forces unit. All these units were established after Tokyo made the suggestion to it about the government. researching military tactics under the name of peace, and worked perfectly for Tokyo. But since the mid-century anti-war movement made people resent those forces, these special units have been kept secret as of 1983. Furthermore, these units are not all formed under the jurisdiction of the police. There's still many other military units that are kept secret from the average citizen. The Mountain Dogs are actually one of those special units. They specialize in kidnapping, espionage, and preserving secrecy. You might as well call them an assassination unit. They are around during the time of the dam conflict as well. Tokyo worked to put an end to the dam conflict because of the impact it would have on Irie's research. The Mountain Dogs were the ones who kidnapped the Minister of Construction's grandson. Most people believe the Sonozaki family was at the center of the movement, but in reality, the Mountain Dogs were responsible for many of the things the Sonozakis were accused of. In that sense, the existence of the Sonozaki family was an advantage to the dogs. Okay. Their main job after the dam conflict ended has been continuing keeping the disease hidden from the public. With the spread of information networks in the modern age, the media jumped into any unusual incident and quickly aired it to the whole nation. Tokyo doesn't want the disease to be known nationwide because they're trying to utilize it for their own purposes. The main task of the Mountain Dogs is to kidnap people suffering from Hinamizawa syndrome. They pose as gardeners, but in actuality, they patrol the village to make sure nothing strange happens. In other words, this is what I mean when I said Rena was scarily smart, even though she was kind of like, it was aliens! It's okay, Rena. You were really close, but you were really wrong at the same time. This is why I love her. It's because Takano fed her all that information. Anyway, they're the ones who demon away people who go missing. They're probably also involved in many of the mysterious deaths, too. The last important person is Tomitake Jiro. I don't know his real name. He was an auditor who was sent from Tokyo 4 times a year. He came to check on the progress of the research and outline requests from Tokyo. He discussed the research budget with Irie too. He also got an observation report on Irie from Takano. That was his purpose. Irie started out by studying the autopsy results of the dead villagers. He also discovered many answers from that. In 1979, the Mountain Dogs kidnapped the culprit behind the murder of the construction chief, who was a terminal patient of Hinamizawa syndrome. The nature of this disease was dramatically clarified. Their research had made rapid progress after that, and they discovered a vaccine, medication, and other treatments, methods of treatments for the disease. At the same time, they continued to investigate how to utilize it for military purposes. One of the interesting findings of the research was the pathogen can still only be found when the patient is still alive. On top of that, they couldn't detect the presence of the pathogen at all unless they used a certain inhumane method. In other words, it's virtually impossible to detect the pathogen by normal means. It left almost no trace. The unusual symptoms it produced seemed like voluntary behavior. They concluded the disease could be used to their advantage. However, Tokyo had been going through some changes. It had been almost 50 years since the war ended. The leaders in the shadows behind Japan's government who ruled from the center of Tokyo began growing infirm and opening up seats, steadily passing their leadership to the new generation. The whole organization has started to shift. Of course, the purpose of Tokyo has stayed the same. It's still a secret society of ultra-nationalists who want Japan to be at the top of the world. However, their ambition to start a war with America and take over the world has diminished. Tokyo has directed its priorities toward the economy, international affairs, and education. That doesn't mean that those ambitions are gone entirely, however. Some of seniors still alive retain those ambitions. Tokyo continues to finance military research. For the present-day Tokyo, Irie's research is actually something of an embarrassment. New Tokyo is no longer interested in this project. They announced that they're going to cut away their budget as soon as those seniors pass away. However, Irie objected to that plan. He strongly appealed for the continuation of his research. This is what Okanogi was talking about. Irie is in disagreement with Tokyo. Irie's research has been making great progress. They discovered various treatment and testing methods. He's even starting to develop a treatment plan for the whole village. If they cut his funding, Irie's research would end without any results. Tokyo had a discussion with Irie through Tomitake, and they decided to fully shut down his facility, partially but not fully. However, they told him to immediately stop researching military applications of the disease and destroy all the research data related to that. He had little interest in weaponizing the disease anyway, so Irie accepted those terms right away. Tokyo probably believed it was better to let him find a cure for the disease than to terminate the project entirely. At this point, Irie considers himself one of the villagers. Perhaps exterminating the disease infecting the villagers without their knowledge is his way of atoning for using the village to advance its research and reputation. Both Tokyo and Irie agreed to fully terminate his research as soon as he discovered a way to completely eradicate Hinamizawa syndrome. Irie made a plan for the next 3 years. He promised them he would find a resolution by 1986 at the latest. The meetings they had this June was to discuss the plan and budget for the next 3 years. Which brings us back to the beginning. One theory goes that Irie is in opposition with Tokyo, and as his trump card, he's planning to kill Furude Rika. The other theory is Takano killed Tomitake, and as her trump card, she's going to kill Furude Rika. I suppose I need to explain why Furude Rika can be a trump card. The answer to that lies in the ancient traditions of Hinamizawa. Supposedly the members of the Furude family have the blood of Oyashiro in their veins. I explained earlier that Oyashiro was made up as a method for having people cope with the disease. However, that's not actually true. For the demons, the pathogens, to survive, a certain being must be present. That being the successor of the Furude family line. The truth behind the advent of Oyashiro and the coexistence of humans and demons is that Oyashiro is actually the queen of the village. According to Irie's research, Rika is adored by the whole village, not only because she is a charming little girl, but she is also the queen carrier. Infected patients are unconsciously driven to protect their queen. Irie says that this is done with pheromones. Furude Rika's mother was also adored by everyone since she was little. However, as soon as she gave birth, people's attention quickly shifted to Rika. Irie calls it the succession of the throne. The queen is a precious existence to the people in this village. There are theories that carriers of the disease are actually unable to survive when away from the queen, not from the village itself. Irie's research indicates that the queen can only survive in Hinamizawa, and infected patients can only stay alive when they're around her. But this is just a theory. Surprisingly, however, the doctor who first discovered this syndrome was also aware of the existence of the queen. That doctor was also knowledgeable about Hinamizawa's culture. He was interested in how much value the village placed on the Furude family. He theorized the queen lying in the Furude bloodline might have the power to manipulate the whole village. The truth is still unknown, but perhaps the Furude family still held such power since the ancient times, miraculous power that could make them perfect for serving in the priesthood. Although the only thing Rika can do is to be doted upon by the villagers. If all this is true, then the question is what would happen if the queen disappeared from the village? During the war, the doctor prophesied if the queen were to die, then all the infected would show terminal symptoms. The whole village would be wiped out. He advocated for strict preservation of the queen's hopes. And we know from Watanagashi and Meikashi that Rika died, and like months passed. Like a month passed. Everybody was okay. Okay? So we already know that something's wrong here. Rika is important to Tokyo, not only because Irie found many answers after running the tests on her body. If Furude Rika dies, 2,000 people in Hinamizawa will turn into demons. It would happen too fast for people to even realize that they're getting sick. They will each be overcome with a violent persecution complex and start killing each other out of fear. This is why the mountain dogs are protecting the queen Furude Rika. Her death spells the end of the whole village. That is why Furude Rika is a trump card for those who know that she is the center of the whole epidemic. This is the story of Hinamizawa. Our tale begins in June 1983. Tokyo's liaison, Tomitake, was found dead of the disease, even though he was vaccinated against it. On the same night, Takano was also kidnapped and murdered, although I don't know for sure if she's really dead or not. Furude Rika is also going to be murdered soon enough. While I suspected Irie and Takano, this was my last time doubting Tokyo. I always thought they were on my side. They had to be. My death would lead to nothing but disaster. At the same time, there might be people within Tokyo who could use my death as a trump card. I never considered that there were opposing factions within Tokyo. I guess I was naive enough not to realize that Tokyo had internal problems due to the generation gap. Anyway, I wouldn't be feeling this way if I didn't suspect that Takano might still be alive. I feel like I'm starting to see the greater picture. It's possible too that Takano is the victim, and Irie is the bad guy. The mountain dogs might be on my side, or they might be assassins who are trying to kill me. I was too scared to choose a wine that might be at the risk of having something poisonous mixed in which case I could rest assured with a fresh unopened bottle, even if it was a little bad. After telling everything to my friends, I had finally realized I could only trust them and the police. Okay, also here's another thing. Doesn't that mean Shion technically saved Hinamizawa on accident? Because, like, if Rika dies because in Higurashi, I mean Shion saved them by accident. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. You know I already read through all of this, right? Like, multiple times. To be honest though, I don't really like reading the political stuff since there is politics stuff in Higurashi. But, it can be a kind of boring, but I think it's important and integral. And some people try to be like, there's no politics in Higurashi. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you reading this? Read it out loud. Every word. Like I am. Okay? Okay, I'm really dumb. I thought I was thinking so hard, but I never actually understood anything. After all this time, I made things clear just by talking about them with my friends. I never had thought it would make such a big difference.
Me, and that's the end of my story.
As I thought, everyone was staring at me with their mouths open in shock. Even Oishi wouldn't believe a story like this. That's only normal. I'm sure I sound like a crazy person.
Sadako, we go to the clinic every week to help with Irie's research, right? We're actually not just helping him. We go there so you can get treatment.
I remember you told me that Sadako's ill.
Me? As you said, it's not only me, but the whole village that's infected with this disease. Why would I have to take the shot every day and not everyone else? I thought it was just a new type of vitamin and the coach is developing. At one point, you were a terminate patient, Sadako. That's why you need 2 shots every day to keep your symptoms under control. Irie is very passionate about saving you, but he still can't find a better treatment than that. Don't think that he's not working hard still to find a cure, though. Don't you joke around! I thought we were getting financial support by aiding his research! How do I get those shots every day for the rest of my life?
Sadako looked upset that she'd been completely ignorant of all this. She also didn't want to accept the reality of having to manage her condition. Her fake laughter sadly echoed in everyone's ears. Keiichi opened his mouth to speak. So, if she misses a shot, she'll react like she did the other day? There was a day where she forgot to take her shot. She convinced herself the principal was her uncle. Her fear escalated. She thought her uncle came inside the school to take her back home. But she feels that way. There's no turning back for her.
Yeah, she will. That's why I tell her to be sure to take her shot every day. I don't believe you! What do you mean I'm a terminal patient? Why me exactly? I refuse to believe it! When did I even become so sick?
Sadako's face contorted as tears began to flow from her eyes. I shouldn't have said this. Sadako's starting to remember something she's not supposed to.
I'm sorry, Sadako. You don't have to remember. That was just an accident. It wasn't your fault. No, this is a lie! You're just lying to us!
The others had no idea what Sadako was talking about. They don't need to know. They don't want to know about it because they're her friends. Rena gently touched Sadako's shoulder. She gently touched mine too.
We believe your story, Rika. Thank you. And you've been carrying such a heavy burden for a long time. I'm proud of you. You've been struggling all alone to this day.
I never thought Rena would say something like that to me. My eyes were filling up with tears. It's difficult to have a secret that you can't tell people. Mine's hardly a big deal compared to yours. but I can still sympathize with you. I agree. You've done your best too, sis. I'll often shift the blame onto you to relieve myself so I can tell.
You're all going to believe my story?
Of course! We said we believe you. It's a bit of relief since a lot of my questions about this village are answered now.
So is everyone in this village infected by the disease, that Hinamizawa syndrome? Yes, everyone's infected. But unlike hundreds of years ago, this disease is much weaker now. That's why people can survive even if they move far away or go somewhere far for a trip.
But some people still get sick, right? I'll never leave this village again.
Even if you do get sick, you can still control the illness yourself. It's very simple, yet very difficult.
If you think you might be suspicious of someone, don't be. Continue to trust in them. When you become too suspicious of a person, that suspicion will degenerate into a persecution complex. It will be too late. So as long as everyone stays friendly and united, we'll never have to worry about this disease. This disease starts with anxiety. Modern people don't believe in curses the way that people long ago did. That might be why we're more tolerant to the disease.
I see. Then we should be fine.
Yep, we're friends and we're family. We never suspect each other. I'm going to believe everything you said today. You couldn't talk because you were afraid the mountain dogs would hurt us, right? I nodded quietly. I didn't want to think the mountain dogs have bugged this room. But if Okanogi overhears this conversation, they'll definitely kill not only me, but all of my friends tonight. That's true no matter who my enemy is. Well, it sounds as though we should all get ready for battle. Let's sum up the story. Someone might come and kill you, knowing that your death will cause chaos and destruction in the village. Is that correct?
They'll definitely come for me.
Are you sure? Will they get rid of their trump card that easily?
She's quite right. A trump card's like a pile of gold. Isn't it better to keep your hands on it?
Sadako's eyes were still swollen, but she had stopped crying. But think about it, Sadako. If you have more than one trump card, you still want to play one of them right away.
That's true. It's more effective to have more than one hostage. One hostage isn't as valuable as many of them.
Rena. What? Okay. Remember when she took over the school? Anyway, we don't know anything for sure, and that means we can't be too optimistic. Everyone nodded in unison.
What do you think about the mountain dogs? Do you think they're our enemies?
That's not even a question. They're like wolves trying to watch after the sheep.
Just think of all the suspicious people as bad guys. We need to seek help from someone who has nothing to do with Tokyo.
I agree. I think you made a good choice by seeking help from the police. Oishi's on our side, right?
Yes. Oishi doesn't know everything yet, so he thinks the culprit behind the curse of Oyashiro is targeting me. I think you should talk to Oishi too. We need help from some adults. But that's pretty risky. What if they don't believe her and step away from the investigation?
We should still talk to him. He said he's going to retire this year, and that's his last chance to avenge his old friend. I'm sure he'll believe any story, no matter how wild.
Yeah, he helped us when we were trying to save Sadako too. I think he'll remain on our side.
Okay, let's talk to Oishi. Where is he now?
He's out in the Gifu Prefecture. He went to check on Takano's body.
Oh, she was found in Gifu, right? Burned to death inside an oil drum? Why does he have to go there directly to check on her?
There's a possibility it might not be Takano's body, but the Gifu Police Department isn't being very cooperative.
You said the mountain dogs specialize in preserving secrets and manipulating information, right? That corpse is pretty suspicious. I don't think she's the kind of person who would just die from being burnt a little.
It's still possible that Irei is the bad guy and that he killed Takano. That's what Okanogi tried to make me believe.
I kind of doubt the coach is the mastermind. He's just not that kind of person.
I do agree. He's very nice as long as you don't let him talk about mates.
As the manager of the Hinamizawa fighters, I also think the coach is innocent. He's more like someone who could be easily used. Maybe he's too good of a guy.
It seems like everyone suspects Takano.
Well, we're just saying, if we compare the coach and Takano, you know? I always knew it was Takano, okay? even when I watched the anime, instinctively, like, I didn't even bother solving Higurashi. I already knew the culprit, okay? Like, I already knew, it was like, I don't trust Takano. I just don't like her. I mean, the anime really made her unlikable, but I just didn't like her in the beginning, because it's like, okay, she keeps talking about the curse. How do you know all this stuff? Why? It's like, it just seems like she's too close to it, in a way, and she tries to act like she isn't, like, and especially, it's like, you can easily tell, by the time of Minagoroshi, she's suspicious. Okay? Especially with all her secrets that she's always being like, oh, be careful, the Oyashiro's cursed or something, and something's gonna happen. Anyway.
Takano would be pretty upset to hear that.
Everyone laughed as though they were in the middle of a club activity. If they're after my life, they'll kill everyone here. It's possible to get all involved in this mess, and they know that. They could still laugh. It's pretty significant, I think. I started laughing along too. I try not to spoil it, but it's odd that Takano's body was found in the mountain of Gifu. If someone wanted to make it look like she killed Tomitake, they could hide her body somewhere no one would ever find. Burning her body in the middle of the woods is like begging people to come across it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they're trying to force an identified body to be Takano just because it was found outside the prefecture and the police here can't investigate further. That's a specialty of the mountain dogs, right?
I think it's pretty obvious at this point. The mountain dogs are working for Takano, right? And the leader of the dogs is saying the manager is pulling the strings. I bet Takano and them are working together.
Tomitake died the way that he did so that the coach would be suspected. But Tokyo is the only organization who would suspect the coach. They also found the body of the true mastermind, Takano. Tokyo would suspect the manager killed both of them. I see. This is a well-planned setup. Though it's not perfect.
It sounds like the mountain dogs are setting the coach up. Well, I think we should talk to Coach directly. That's the best way to go about it.
That's a good idea. I can tell if he's telling the truth or not just by looking to his eyes.
Yeah, you're pretty good at that, Rena.
The mountain dogs are also running security on Irie right now. He might not be able to get on the phone.
What? That sounds even more suspicious! Wow, the coach is in danger right now. Me too. If I was a member of the mountain dogs and I was going to set him up, I'd kill him before he said something I didn't want him to say.
A dead person can't say anything, huh? Oishi will return as soon as he takes care of the business in Gifu. I don't know what time that'll be, but he'll be there for sure.
As one, everyone glanced at the clock. It was already past 6:30 and starting to get dark. No wonder I'm so hungry. We usually call here if it was a normal day, but everyone decided to stay until Oishi came back and discuss what to do.
Can I use your phone, Rika? I need to call my dad and let him know that I'm going to be late tonight.
I need to call my mom, too. I have to call Granny and tell her to order something for dinner tonight. You'll be in big trouble later. We have to get something to eat for those officers, too. We can order some sushi. Everyone had a sensitive reaction to the word sushi. Their stomachs were empty, after all. The same should be true of those officers, too.
Are we going to order something too, Rika? I don't feel like we have that kind of money. Sadako, why don't you curse a stir fry for everyone? What? I can't. I've never cooked for this many people.
Sadako stir fry? I'd love to try it as long as there's no fingers inside.
Sadako, I want to eat your food too. I want to.
At this point, the phone rang.
Hello, this is Furude speaking.
Oh, glad to hear you're still alive. It's Oishi. I've been finishing up everything in Gifu. I'm heading toward Okinomiya right now. I'm calling from the gas station.
What about Takano's body?
We did it. We were right. Gifu made one incredibly easy mistake on their paperwork. What a stubborn bunch. I really had to let him have it, let me tell you. Takano and her vehicle are still missing. She may have some information regarding Tomitake's murder, so I just issued a search warrant for her. I'm getting close to revealing the secret of Oyashiro. I'm going to solve this case. Oishi sounded so motivated. He finally found the hint he so desperately wanted. Could he actually solve the case, though?
I'm looking forward to hearing your story.
I'm headed to your house with Kuma, so tell us whatever you know. You can talk to me about anything you can think of.
Yes, I'm ready to tell you about everything.
Oh my, I look forward to hearing it. I should be there in about an hour. It sounds crowded over there. Are your friends there with you?
Yes, everyone came here to offer their help.
I see. You got some wonderful friends. It's probably better for you to stay with them. Good way to keep the criminals at bay. Right, we're heading out. I'll see you soon. Was that Oishi?
Yes, he's headed this way with that other detective. This is the first time this room will have so many people inside of it. How many people will it be? There's 6 of us here, so 8 people? I do hope our floor won't break. I'm the 9th person.
Hanyu, were you listening to us? This is turning out to be very interesting.
Do you think it'll be different this time?
Yes, I'm sure. This time is different.
Don't say that you're sure. It would devastate you if nothing ended up changing.
So, Hanyu, you still think that I'm dying today?
I don't want you to die.
I know what you're thinking. You don't want to believe because you don't want to be hurt. That way you'll never be let down. I'm not going to listen to your opinions anymore. You just stay there and watch like a bystander you are.
Yes, I'm just a bystander. I'm still rooting for you.
Rooting for me? Thanks. But are you sure you want to root for me? Are you sure you won't be hurt if I lose?
Don't be mean, Rika.
We had a rather harmonious mood going. However, a feeling of unease was beginning to settle over us. I'm getting hungry. Want to grab something on the way? That's right. It's almost 8 p.m. We had a late lunch today, so I didn't realize. We could go get something after we finish hearing your story. You sent 4 officers there. They're probably worn out by now. Hopefully Furude ordered them something to eat. Oishi and Kumagai had passed through Okinomiya and were getting closer to Hinamizawa. They hurried on their way, driving through the dark streets. I wonder what Furude Rika wants to talk to you about. Probably something outrageous. That village, used to be called Onigofuchi Village. They took the name Onigofuchi, the demon's abyss, from the local swamp. And like an abyss, it's hard to know its depth, huh? What are you planning to do about her protection? Depending on what she tells us, we might have to move her to a safer location. The whole of Hinamizawa is like a lion's den. You never know what can happen in that village. For now, we just need to hear what she has to say. The head of the Furude family is in danger, and the successor of the Sonozaki family is trying to protect her. Who would even be capable of killing Rika Furude under those circumstances? The only people I can think of are the Kimiyoshi family. I never heard of them getting up to anything fishy. Guess there must be some fanatical religious sect lurking in the village. I wonder what secret lies at the bottom of that swamp. The road they were on was cutting through the rice fields, leading them to pass by the scene of Tomitake Jiro's murder. Takano left Tomitake there. I'm sure of that, but I wonder what he actually died of. Forensics didn't find any drugs in his system, did they? They didn't find anything, but that doesn't prove it either way. There are hundreds of strange chemicals in this world. There's no proof that a drug wasn't used. There must be one we're not aware of. I'm sure of that. There must be some kind of drug out there that can make someone claw out their throat and die. I'm going to grill the culprit about it once I make that arrest. Of course, it'd be easier if that's what Furude Rika is going to tell me. Kuma, you must have learned exactly how false charges are made, seeing what happened in Gifu today. That was horrible. That guy was at our station. I'd never forgive him. He flat out refused to admit he made a mistake. The Gifu Police Department as a whole is still convinced that that body belongs to Takanomiya. But we'll operate under the assumption that she lives. The top of the department will make the final decision. It's obvious they made a simple mistake. They're just desperately covering it up because they'll be in trouble if they admit it. They really need to rethink their attitude. The car suddenly shook. The concrete road had ended, leaving only gravel. At that point where the gravel road begins, you're officially in Hinamizawa. They continue to drive through the woods for a while. Kuma. Stop the car! What? Oishi had told him to stop immediately. Kuma had quickly slammed on the brakes. Their seatbelts tightened up, keeping them in their seats. What's wrong? That car over there, I wonder what it's doing. Oishi tapped over the rearview mirror. There's a van parked just off the road. Rather beat up, it looked like it was used for a private company. There was no reason for someone to park their car here, especially at this time of night. Kumagai also thought it looked suspicious. The car seemed empty, but there was a light flashing in the woods nearby, probably a flashlight. Strange that a van is here at this hour. I'm surprised you even saw it. It's like I keep telling you. A detective always has to pay attention to his surroundings. I wonder what he's doing here. Is he dumping something illegally? Is he dumping someone's body? Maybe it's a pair of lovebirds on a secret date? Well, that can't be it, judging by the van. Hello, Okinomiya Security. Do you read me? Good evening and good night. This is Okinomiya Security, reading you loud and clear. I need a license number scanned. Okay? It might take a while. Oh, wait. Oishi, according to this map, there's a facility of the Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation here. What in the world is the facility of the NTT? It's listed as a facility, but it wasn't staffed. It was just a place where machines were installed. Kumagai wasn't sure how telephone lines actually work, but either way it seemed like there was some kind of connecting device that was located there. That's just an ordinary van. It doesn't look like it belongs to the NTT. If it is them, shouldn't their name be on the van? Maybe some other company's contracted to do it. Anyway, we should just go and ask. Oishi wasn't sure if that was the case. After all, why would any phone company go do their maintenance so late at night? Let's go check what's going on. Furude's waiting for us, so we need to be fast. Yes, sir. His well-honed detective instinct was trying to tell him something. This feeling wasn't one that Oishi could easily explain. He has a strong sense of something was suspicious, without any real reasoning behind it. Oishi trusted that he could judge others' characters with that sense. Nightingale 1 and Nightingale 2. A vehicle is stopped nearby. 2 people got out. They're probably police officers. They're approaching and will make contact in less than a minute. It was pitch black, yet they could see the 2 newcomers clearly. They were probably using a night vision scope. Roger. Attention all units. Nightingales 2 through 5, wait for the green light. Nightingale 7 to 8, make sure the surrounding 100 meters are clear. Roger. Nightingale 4 and 5, do you copy? Nightingale 4, roger. Nightingale 5, roger. Nightingale 7, roger. Nightingale 8, roger. This is Nightingale from HQ. Nightingale from HQ. There's been some trouble during the modification of the phone facility. There's 2 police detectives. They request clearance to open fire. Roger. Wait for the order. By the time Oishi and Kumagai reached the phone facility, they were being watched from all directions. There were 2 pairs of binoculars and 2 sniper rifles pointing at them. The Mountain Dog operatives worked in a 2-man units, a sniper and a spotter, to secure the means of retreat. They'd taken all the different positions so that they could shoot Oishi no matter where he tried to run. They were all in camouflage suits, hiding deep in the woods. Oishi, of course, had no chance of spotting them. The snipers had their rifles trained on the detectives' heads. Oishi and Kumagai had no idea that they were on the verge of losing their very lives. The sniper rifles had their safeties on, but a flick of their thumb would release them. In other words, they were ready to shoot if given the order. Detectives found the fenced-in machinery right behind the parked van. There was a single sign there saying it was the property of the Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation, and another sign warning people to keep away. Hello, good evening. Sorry, but could you step back? We're in the middle of maintenance operation. There are 4 men working there, wearing blue overalls. They had a toolbox open, and they're working on some wires. Sorry to interrupt. We're from the police. We're wondering what you guys were doing, since it's pretty strange to see a van parked out here. Good evening, officers. We're almost finished here. Who are you guys? You're not from the NTT, are you? Oh, we're not, no. We're from the Okinonomiya Electrics. Okinogi Electrics, huh? Oh, sorry, I'm out of business cards. Okinogi Electrics, where's your office located? Well, it's in Okinonomiya. Did you give me the phone number and address to your office? Why do you want to know? You forgot the telephone number? Oishi looked at them with a piercing glare. Their response was very suspicious. Usually, the vehicle of the electric company is full of various types of electrical equipment and repair tools. However, the van parked there had nothing inside, and it looked just like an ordinary car. Also, a company vehicle usually has the name of the company painted on it. But this one is just a plain van with no markings on it. None of that was the reason that Oishi found this suspicious, though. It was their attitude that bothered them. They didn't sound nor look like typical contractors. They were obviously not electricians. It was far too late in the day, and there were far too many of them. They were also clearly suspicious of Oishi. However, that was all he could tell just by looking around. He found them suspicious, but had no idea what they were up to. One of the men told Oishi the phone number. Kumagai wrote down the number so he could ask the station to call and confirm it was real. We're not doing anything suspicious. You guys are very suspicious. Who are you? If you really are a contractor, you should have proof of that, but you don't have anything. Besides, everything about you seems off. Officer, please don't cause us any trouble. Just leave us alone. We need to finish up our job here. Judging from their progress, it didn't look like they'd be cleaning up anytime soon. In fact, it almost seemed like they were just getting started. It's pretty obvious you're lying, son. You should have studied the role a little better if you wanted to pretend to be an electrician. Oishi raised his voice threateningly. The members of the Mountain Dogs gradually started to look more and more annoyed. Oishi looked over their expressions and gave them a big wide grin. However, Oishi had no idea. He thought he could handle these suspicious people with no issues. Of course, in reality, they were horrific demons that he had no chance against. Meanwhile, Kumagai was headed back to the car. He was intending to contact the police department. He was going to call the station using the radio. Then in turn, the police department would contact the entity. That way, it would become clear who they were really dealing with. HQ to Nightingale 1, you have permission to fire. Nightingale 7 clear. Nightingale 8 clear. The sniper was still aiming at Kumagai's head. He was headed toward the back of their car. The safety of the last line protecting Kumagai's life was disengaged. The sniper put his finger on the trigger. He was wearing a glove with the fingertips cut out. The finger poking through the hole was very rough and merciless. For as soon as he slightly moved that finger, he would take someone's life. Nightingale 1 to sniper team, all green. Kumagai heard a quiet noise. It was similar to the sound of a jump rope that he used to use a whip when he was little. And that was the last thought Kumagai had in this world. Kumagai collapsed onto the gravel. That was it. He didn't even twitch. Oishi was laying on his back with the concrete after getting shot in the chest. His lungs were filled with blood, which began to pour out of his mouth. Oishi only realized he'd been shot when the world began to blur before his eyes. As this world keeled over, he saw a man in a work uniform, leveling a gun at him. But it didn't matter anymore as he started drowning in his own blood. And if that isn't clear, sometimes they do die. I mean, like in Tatarigoroshi. This is Okunomiya Security. We scanned the license plate number. Detective Oishi? Detective Oishi, please come in. Huh? Did we lose a signal or something? Detective Oishi, come in. He's not answering. Oishi wanted a plate number scanned. Whose car is it? It's just a villager's car. No one special. Who is it? Must be someone suspicious of Oishi's asking about them. It seems like nobody cut out of the ordinary. No accidents. No tickets. He probably got pissed off after that car passed him or something. He can be a pretty stubborn guy sometimes. This is Nightingale. Both targets eliminated. Resuming the mission. Roger. Be sure to dispose of their vehicle. Major, Nightingale just terminated 2 officers. They're resuming their mission. Sweet dreams, Oishi. Too bad he was getting so close to catching me. Can I get a cup of coffee? Absolutely. This is getting rather complicated. There's still several officers at R's house, and her friends are there as well. R must know that she's getting murdered tonight. Someone's leaking information. I think we should postpone the plan. We have to have her corpse by tomorrow. That's the most convenient for the people in charge. We have to execute this mission tonight. The crucial part of the final mission was the death of Rika and what came after that. They couldn't just kill her whenever they wanted. Doing it at the right time was vital. Maybe she's panicked at the dog's excessive security? No, it's not that information is being leaked. She's predicting it. She knew that Tomitake was going to die, as she even knew how my body was going to be found. She's the queen. She's the genuine heir to the blood of Oyashiro, her priestess, the queen positioned at the top of Hinamizawa's supernatural phenomena. It's impossible to hide things from God. Assassinating Furude Rika won't be so easy. Alright, Rika. Let's see one of us which deserves to inherit the legend of Oyashiro. Your death will be the final curse of Oyashiro, and it will mark the finale of this legendary village. When that happens, my plan will become the real curse. Uh-oh. Well, rest in peace, Oishi. Well, it was now past 8 p.m. Mio ordered some noodles for us, her treat. We also ordered some food from the 4 officers, and then we all ate together. We were supposed to call it a night as soon as we talked to Oishi, but he's still not here. However, we all took it easy, assuming they'd get here sooner or later. It's getting late. Once you get to Hinamizawa, there aren't many places to get something to eat. I'm sure they're having a quick dinner before coming here. However, the 4 officers seemed anxious. They all had families, but Oishi didn't tell them how late they'd have to be out here. They're hoping that Oishi will bring other officers to relieve them so they can go home. They called the station, but all they said that was Oishi was on his way, and we should wait because he'll be here soon.
That Oishi sure is late.
I'm sure he's stuck in traffic. It's still rush hour.
Those poor officers have been here since this afternoon, right? They must be tired by now.
I know. It sucks that they don't even know when they can go home. Should we patrol outside so they can get some rest? We can have Sadako set up some traps to prevent strangers from coming in here.
Good thinking, Shion. However, just think, this is our house. We already have several traps set up around this place. Really? We should be careful when we're around here.
With our stomachs full and the mood in the house had been returned to a light-hearted one. True, we shouldn't be so relaxed, but knowing that Oishi would be here shortly made us feel relieved. But he's so late. He said he'd be here in about an hour. Mio mentioned that he might have gotten stuck in traffic, but I'm sure Oishi was considering that. That's why he told me it'd take him about an hour. And now it'd been more than 1 hour since the time Oishi was supposed to be here. I want to believe that he's getting something to eat on the way, but I'm starting to get concerned. Oishi still hadn't shown up. It was almost 11 o'clock. The officers are completely exhausted. They even started to smoke cigarettes outside. My friends were becoming tired, too. Sadako is yawning. It's way past our bedtime. Everyone else is getting tired and sleepy. We've been spending our time watching TV and reading manga. I can feel my fear succumbing to sleepiness. Today is almost over. I'm going to survive the day I'm supposed to die. Does that mean I escape my deadly fate? No. I'll have to fight endlessly from tomorrow on. I was going to discuss that with Oishi. Since he's not here, I don't know what to do from this point on. Suddenly the phone rang, breaking the silence. Is that Oishi? Hello, this is the Furude residence. Sorry to call you this late. This is Komiyama calling from the Okinomi Police Department. By any chance, is Detective Oishi there with you?
No, we've been waiting for him a long time.
I see. We'll send out more officers so you'll tell the ones there to leave you once their relief comes.
Okay, I'll do that. So where is Oishi?
We got a call from him this evening saying he was headed there directly, so we thought he'd be here with you already. The officers were supposed to return after Oishi arrived, but they haven't come back. So we're wondering what's going on. That's what I'd like to know, but arguing with the man on the phone wouldn't accomplish anything. I hung up and gave the message to the officers downstairs. It looked like everyone heard our exchange on the phone.
I wonder what's going on. He's way too late.
Maybe he ran into some important case he had to take care of.
He would have called us if so. He told us that he was on his way. I think he'd call us if something was going on.
Was he attacked by Tokyo? No way! But if they're really as scary as Rika told us, that might be possible. He probably had something to take care of. I bet he forgot to call us. Remember, he's a tough guy. No one can take him down that easily.
I do hope he gets there soon.
Sadako yawned. Everyone laughs, but some of them try not to yawn themselves. We can't stay up forever. We decided to call it a night once the replacement officers arrived. I'm sure I was surpassed by the time I was supposed to die. That's probably because the police were protecting me. Perhaps both Takano and the mountain dogs are also on my side and they took care of the murderer. I don't know who's changing my fate. Maybe my fate hasn't been changed and I'm going to get killed soon anyway. I don't know if it's because of the police or because of the mountain dogs, but the only thing I know for sure is that I'm still alive. Soon I heard the noise of someone walking on the gravel of the shrine grounds. One of my friends suggested it might be Oishi, but I doubt it. I don't want to expect him and be disappointed when it's not. I'm starting to think like Hanyu. Good evening, I'm Komiyama. I'm from the Okinomi Police Department. It wasn't Oishi, just 2 of his fellow detectives that had arrived instead. They were going to stay downstairs and have the 4 officers return home. They also told my friends to leave. We'll stay here to protect her, so please go home. Your families must be worried about you.
Thank you so much, everyone. The detectives are here, so I'm okay now.
Are you sure? We'll stay here tonight if you like.
I'm fine. Besides, I don't have any extra pajamas and blankets for you guys. See you tomorrow then. We'll try to stay with you as much as we can from now on. How about we do club activities here after school? That would be wonderful. My floor might break with all these people here.
It might really break. Well, Rika, we're going home now, but be careful. Don't go alone in the dark under any circumstances.
I'll be careful. Alright, see you tomorrow. Yes, see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Am I really going to see them tomorrow? I have no clue. I tried so many things over the past 100 years. I've done many things and I have memories of most of them. That's why I feel scared on the day I die. It's the only day I have no memory of. I don't even know if I'm approaching or escaping my death right now. All I know is that fear is going to continue until I find some kind of solution. As I started getting ready to go to bed, Sadako suggested that I should sleep in my regular clothes rather than my pajamas. She was thinking that I should remain dressed, just in case someone tries to attack me in my sleep. It sounded ridiculous, but she was just trying to be considerate. I decided to do what she told me to. Sadako seemed so sleepy until a few moments ago, but she suddenly started passionately explaining to me all the traps she set on the shrine grounds. She assured me that strangers will end up trapped if they try to sneak into this building. To someone else it might sound like she was just trying to brag, but Sadako was trying to make me feel better. After everyone else left, she noticed how scared I looked. Sadako's kindness and everyone else's kindness. I felt it was the right decision for me to talk to my friends, even if it won't end up changing my fate.
Rika?
Hanyu showed up again. She looked upset, so she was still thinking that I could get killed at any moment. But I'm actually starting to feel a little better. I might get killed tomorrow, but I feel like I can rest safely, at least tonight. I'm more concerned about the fact that Oishi didn't show up. Still, even if he didn't, the other detectives are here and will stay on guard downstairs without sleeping. As long as they're here, I think I'll be safe tonight. What's wrong? Are you hungry? I didn't eat anything sweet today. Do you want me to drink some juice? Hanyu would usually cheer up right when I suggested drinking some juice, but not this time. Her face looked pale, as if she wasn't even alive. Something out of the ordinary had clearly happened. What's wrong?
It's almost time.
That sounded far more like a declaration rather than a prediction. Even Hanyu doesn't have any memories of my death. There's no way she can tell when I'll be killed. However, she sounded so certain just now. Perhaps we can feel it in the very cells of our body. Our bodies understand fate way better than we do. Up until now, I felt reassured that we could get through it somehow if we were all together. But as I clung to that life preserver with a hole leaking air, I was starting to drown in the sea of despair and struggling to keep my head above water. No, I can't let myself feel that way. I have to believe. It's okay, Hanyu. I'm going to fight. Even if I get killed tomorrow, I'm not going to die tonight. Hanyu just gave me a look of faint sadness. That silence told me that my pitiful hope was going to push me down into a futile reality. I stared at Sadako as she continued to brag about her traps. If I'm getting killed shortly, Sadako won't be safe either. I quickly interrupted her talk about traps. The time was 1 in the morning. As it's hardly a big city at 1 a.m. in Hinamizawa in the middle of the night, the darkness here gets very deep. There was light leaking out from the first floor where 2 detectives sat on guard, but everything else was pitch black. Even the moonlight seemed indistinct. It's time. 2 detectives are downstairs. It's been more than an hour since the light went out above them. Awaiting orders to begin the attack. What a beautiful night. You have permission to engage. Should we terminate the detectives? Yes. Everyone in the Furude Shrine will be given away tonight. It's better that way. HQ to Phoenix! Commence the mission. Terminate the 2 detectives. You do not have permission to fire. I repeat, you do not have permission to fire weapons. HQ to Nightingale. Phoenix has commenced the mission. Shut down the phone lines. Roger. We're shutting them down. They've been working to disable the phone lines just in case their target tried to contact the police during the attack. That mission was what Oishi happened to bump into. Let's begin. Phoenix 1 to all units. Be prepared when you enter. Terminate the 2 detectives on the first floor and 1 companion on the second. Do not leave any evidence. Do not fire weapons or use any gas. Use your tasers. Remember they have guns. Do not let them fire. Come on, don't embarrass me, Okanogi. I'm just doing my job. Phoenix 7 and 8, advance forward. Backup teams secure the perimeter. Roger, we're heading in now. The 2 men in uniform slowly approach the building. The Mountain Dog's uniform is gray, so it didn't blend in with their surroundings at all. However, it doesn't look as suspicious as real camouflage suits. Of course, they look suspicious enough creeping up to a house like that anyway. They could both see the light leaking from the door and hear the voices of the detectives. Rika would typically use this sliding door to get inside. The door was locked, but the Mountain Dogs had obtained a spare key a long time ago. They put the key in the keyhole, but it wouldn't go in smoothly. They were certain it would make some kind of noise when they turned it. The detectives would notice them the minute they did that. They had to rush inside and defeat them in one swift burst. Phoenixes 7 and 8 glanced at each other. This is Phoenix 7, we arrived at the target location. Waiting for your command. Takano here. Make it nice and clean. Go ahead. Roger, we're breaking in. He turned the key and hurried and opened the lock. By the time the detectives turned around, the door was already open and the 2 Mountain Dogs had stepped inside. They'd aimed their weapons at the detectives while the latter was still turning around. In a fight like that, the first 2 seconds are the most crucial moments. The detectives collapsed, making minimal noises. There were needles stuck in their bodies. Those needles were connected via wires to the attackers' guns. In other words, the weapons those 2 had weren't ordinary guns. They were stun guns in the shape of firearms. Instead of bullets, they shoot out electric needles that electrocute their victims into unconsciousness. Normally, they would be non-lethal weapons that allow the shooter to capture their victim without harming them much, but their tasers had been modified. The 2 dogs started walking up the stairs as soon as they confirmed that the detectives were no longer breathing. In the same moment, they heard a loud noise above them. This is Phoenix 10! Art and our companion have noticed us! They just jumped off of the 2nd floor window! They're running to the forest! Attention Phoenix 4 and 5, they're heading your way! Capture them! Roger, let's go! Phoenix 4 spotted the 2 girls and started after them, but he suddenly stepped on something hard. With a cheap-sounding explosion, the area was filled with smoke. There was a trap that Sadako had set using firecrackers that had proven to be a very fortunate idea. The Mountain Dogs dropped their ground, assuming that they were under fire. That gave Rika and Sadako a chance to escape.
Who are they? Are they the organization from Tokyo that you were talking about? I think so. Just run. We're dead if they catch us.
What's going on? What was that noise? This is Phoenix 5. Someone's shooting at us. Ours escaped. We'll continue the pursuit. Shit. They were just some firecrackers. Damn it. That must be Sadako's handiwork. She's pretty good. What? Hurry up! Don't let them escape inside someone's house. This is Phoenix 18. I spotted the target. I need some backup. They know this area very well. If we don't get them now, we'll definitely lose them. This wasn't a game of hide and seek. It was a game of tag. Several men in uniform were chasing after Rika and Sadako. They weren't idiots, so they didn't waste their energy on a futile act of shouting, "Wait!" This is a quiet, deadly game of tag in the middle of the night.
Where are we going? Let's split up and try to shake them off. We'll meet at Mia's house. Her basement will be safe and we can contact the police from there.
Sadako had no idea that Mio had a basement in her house, but she didn't have time to ask anything about it under her current circumstances. All she did was nod. The next moment, I felt my left foot catch on something and I fell to the ground. I must have tripped on a rock or a piece of concrete.
Rika! Get out of here, Sadako! You'll be killed!
But Sadako wouldn't move on without me. She came back to lend me a hand. I stood up without her help, but this cost us too much time. One of the men had almost caught up with us. I didn't know what to do, but Sadako, upon seeing him, quickly reacted. Sadako ran toward him and kicked him with all her might. Her foot had landed right in his face. I wish I had a camera. But there were 2 more of them right behind the first man. I can see them clearly now. They are the gardeners from the landscape company. They're wearing the same uniforms Okanogi's always wearing. They must be the Mountain Dogs. Now I'm certain Takano is the culprit. And now that I know that, I can do something about it in the next world. But if I die now, I'll lose my memory again. I can't die now. I need to survive so I can keep my memories. Sadako took something out of her pocket and threw it at them. It was something like sand and it blinded them. However, even that would only buy us a few seconds. Sadako tried to run, but she froze as soon as they aimed their weapons at us. Their stun guns are only shaped like firearms. Sadako, not knowing that, thought they were real guns. Knowing that she'll be shot if she turned and ran, Sadako tried to attack them instead. Of course there were 3 of them. Most would think it's impossible to drive them off, but Sadako didn't think about that. She had a 100% chance of dying if she tried to run. Then she might as well fight back, because she might have a 1% chance of defeating them. Sadako's determined to save me, even at her own expense. But I can't stay in this world if it means losing Sadako. I'm dying anyway. I'd rather die for Sadako's sake than lose her. But another me was shouting in my mind, if I don't survive this, I'll lose this memory. If I die without keeping this memory, this life and everything I will learn will be wasted. Should I escape and leave Sadako behind? That's right. I should use this experience to my advantage in my next life. I should just let go of her in this world. No way. That really would make me a witch. But I know in my heart, there's no way I can win against these guys. I'm sure their backup will get here if we take their time to fight them. Should I fight them for her, or should I leave so I can confront my true enemy? A. Leave Sadako and keep my memories. B. Save Sadako and lose my memories. Sadako! Sadako's bravery gives me courage. If I left her, I'd lose my motivation to defeat fate. I don't care if I lose my memories. It only took 100 years for me to get this information. I don't care if I have to spend another 100 years in the same June. I can't leave Sadako!
Sadako! I'm fighting too! Rika! I told you to go!
I noticed something. They're only aiming at Sadako. There must be a reason why they can't shoot me. So I stood in front of Sadako to protect her. Just as I expected, they put their guns down and prepared to take us out without their weapons. You guys are the mountain dogs, so Takano's behind this. I'm so stupid. I know who you are, but I chose not to run. I'm not going to run, even if you're going to kill me now. Somebody once told me that fate can be destroyed as easily as a sheet of paper. They must be thinking this is my final speech. They let me talk until I was finished. You people are pathetic. That's why you'll never kill me! The next moment, one of them dropped to the ground. Keiichi had run toward him and kicked him from behind. Keiichi had kicked him right in the small of his back, and the dog was squirming on the ground. Oops, I messed up. The other two tried to retaliate, but they were too late. Mion grabbed one of the guy's arms from behind and flipped him to the ground. It must be some kind of martial art. I've seen something like that in an action movie before. Rena tried to push the remaining dog down with all her strength, but it wasn't enough to take him out. He tried to aim his gun at Rena, but she had already done what she was supposed to do. All she needed to do was get his attention. Shion had snuck up behind him, and she fired her stun gun into his neck. Aww. The stun gun made a snapping noise, and the dog fell to the ground with the rest of his friends. Wow! Kasa told me this was illegally modified. It works pretty well! Shion, hit this guy too! Are you guys okay? That was close! You ran so fast it took a lot of time to catch up!
I'm really glad we stuck around. We were waiting out here in case anything happened. You mean you stayed out here without going back home? Yep. I saw someone who looked suspicious staring at the shrine when we were leaving.
I'm really surprised you saw him in this darkness. Analyzer and camouflage work on you, huh? So figuring he would leave, they spoke to him. They secretly staked out that suspicious man. They started to follow us as soon as they heard the sound of firecrackers.
I never expected to be saved like this.
We can't stay here any longer. What should we do now?
We're trying to get to Mion's house. You have a basement there, apparently?
The underground storehouse. That's a perfect spot. We also got some weapons inside there. Shh! Don't say that out loud! Anyway, I think that's a good idea. There's several secret passages in there, so we can get a drop on them.
Come on, let's go! They're still after us!
A white van was approaching us at high speed. It's obvious it belonged to the mountain dogs. The van stopped not far from us, and more people in the uniform jumped out. There are at least 6 of them. If we all run, the slowest runner might get caught, so we should take them down while we still can. I don't know if they have a license, but Mion and Shion know how to drive a car. They can take their van, and we can get away from here. There's still 6 of them! That's perfect! Let's beat them unconscious and steal their van!
That's a good idea!
Let's go get them! The mountain dogs were ready to chase us. They had no idea we'd actually try and attack them instead. Rena's always the first one to make a move in this kind of situation. She gets so determined once a decision's made. She immediately singled out the dog and punched him in the nose. Another one tried to grab her from behind, but Keiichi kicked him in the side as hard as he could. Hey, Rena, watch your back!
I'll leave that to you, Keiichi. Please look after me.
I'm kind of curious about how you were like back in Ibaraki. You sure don't hesitate to punch people. And you don't hesitate to zap people with an illegal stun gun. Given that Shion had the stun gun, the mountain dogs were reluctant to go after her. They were scared of the very dangerous weapon she had in her hand. But thanks to that, Shion had stopped one of them for certain. It was fortunate for us they didn't have any guns of their own. They had no way of countering Shion's stun gun. Sadako attacked him from behind. She encircled his neck with a jump rope and poked. Shion followed up, quickly hitting him with her stun gun. What was I doing during all of that? The only thing I can do is run around and try to get their attention. They're pursuing me after all. They want to catch me more than anything else. But that leaves them open to my attacks from my friends. Keiichi already hit one trying to grab me. I think we have a chance here. We may not be able to take all of them down. We can try to find a chance to escape their vehicle. With what Rika said, I thought these guys would be really strong, but they're not that bad.
That's just how strong we color members are.
Not being afraid is probably the secret of strength. Sis's club activities are practically training rid of your hesitation. If we all fight together, we can win this 6-on-6 battle. If any one of us wasn't here, they'd beat us easily. We'd end up dead. If my friends hadn't stayed behind, I would have been killed by now. We can do it. We can make it. The dogs took Shion down with her stun gun were starting to wake up. The ones we knocked out earlier were also up and chasing us again. We have to get out of here. This isn't time for me to be running around. Fine. Let's see what I can do.
Rika!
Hanyu, I know you still can't believe in hope, just like always. Stay there and see what my stubbornness can do. I'm going to change this fate. I'm going to do it right here. Let me show you what I'm capable of. Alright everyone, we're gonna finish this right now. Take down whoever's in front of you. Then we're gonna grab their car and get out of here.
Yes, I'm going to do this.
You go, Rika! Alright, let's go! On Keiichi's signal, we attacked 6 of the mountain dogs in unison. Time gradually slowed down. I truly felt like I was trying to overcome that impossible wall of time and change my fate. However, time continued to slow even further, until it stopped. What's going on? It felt like the film reel of a movie had gotten hung up partway through, like time itself has come to a standstill. Hanyu, what's this all about?
The time has come.
What? Why? Wearing a sad expression, Hanyu pointed at Keiichi. I finally noticed something. All my friends had noticed already. Except for Keiichi. Keiichi, what's that floating in front of your chest? What do you mean? Huh? What is this? Time had stopped, just when Keiichi was about to hit his opponent, and then he realized that something was floating in front of his heart. It was a metallic silver cone. That was the first thing I could think of. No! Kei-chan! What the hell is this? Is this a bullet? That's exactly what it was. The bullet had stopped about 15 centimeters away from Keiichi's chest, just before it would enter his body. That's right. Once time starts moving again, it'll slam into his chest. In other words, it's too late. Keiichi will immediately die when time starts up again.
Who shot it? Those 6 guys didn't have any guns!
Look!
Over there by the van!
Sadako couldn't point out the van. Time had completely stopped after all. We could see another person standing near the van. There had actually been 7 people inside, not 6. That 7th person was the one who fired the bullet. We hadn't seen her at all. That person is someone we all know very well. Yes, it's Takano. It's Takano! She shot the gun? She shot Keiichi? In the frozen world, Takano was smiling, still aiming her gun at Keiichi. Takano had been watching us from this van the whole time. She came out and fired her gun, knowing that we hadn't seen her at all. I see, I get it now. So Takano was the bad guy all along. What are we going to do, Kei-chan? Can you try to twist your body to avoid the bullet? Don't be stupid. Time is totally stopped. I can't move at all. Then try moving as soon as time starts moving again. That might make a difference. Everyone was so desperate to save Keiichi. However, no matter how hard we thought, we couldn't come up with any ideas to save him from the bullet. We were so desperate that Keiichi started to laugh. I really don't know what's going on, but there's nothing that can be done. I'm dead that minute time starts moving again. Even if I don't die, I won't be of any help to you guys anymore. So listen, just give up on me. You only need to think about taking these guys down and getting inside of that van. Never! You can't die! I don't want to lose you! Hanyu, are you telling me this is my fate? Are you telling me there's no way to overcome this?
It's okay, Rika. You won't remember this. You won't.
No! No! Keiichi's not going to die!
Stop it, Mii-chan! Let's just concentrate on taking them down. I'm sure Keiichi wouldn't want us spending time turning as he falls.
That's exactly how I feel, Rena. Guys, take care of Rika. Get out of here and contact Coach. They'll probably kill Oishi. That's why he never showed up. Listen, promise you'll all survive. Promise me! Keiichi! Rika, I'm sorry. I'm the one who told you that we could change destiny. But I'm gonna have to retire now. It sounded just like Takano's regular laughter, but it was the scariest noise I've ever heard. Are you ready to let go of your life now? Takano, we haven't lost just yet. Done watching your life flash before your eyes. The silence suddenly ended and the clamor of reality returned. An explosive sound hit Keiichi straight in the chest. I watched Keiichi collapse right in front of me. He fell down on his back while his blood splattered everywhere. And after that, he stopped moving. There's no way any of us weren't shocked by that. We tried to shake down the foes in front of us, but more came from behind. We tried to struggle as best as we could, but there was no way we could win against all these adults. I did my best to fight them off, but they pulled my hair and picked me up as if I weighed nothing. I heard everyone's desperate screams of resistance. The comforting, courageous unity we showed right before Keiichi was shot, shattered like glass, the debris of the glass laying slatedly on the ground. Takano's annoying laughter was still echoing inside my ears. Takano to HQ. I've taken care of it. I need what I told you before. I also need someone to clean up the bodies. Send me 5 bags and some water to clean up the area. Understand? She needs 5 bags. My body froze up, but time did not. Takano, laughing, pointed her gun at Mion's head. Hey! Are you kidding me? I've always wanted to see the tattoo on your back. I'm going to take a peek at it later. Sure! Have a look if you want! It's nothing special! Oh. You don't think I'll find it interesting? Stop! Don't shoot her! Takano shook her head in response to Rena's scream. I have to kill her. She's the leader of your club, so she has to go first. No! Stop! There was a dull noise followed by Mion's body twitching. We all tried to break free from the men restraining us as Takano calmly shot Mion. However, they were too strong and all we could do was squirm like insects. Takano was enjoying watching us struggle. Then she stepped towards Sadako, but Shion started screaming curses at her. My, you want to be shot before her. You could have stayed alive a few more seconds if you were nice and quiet.
Stop it, Shion! Don't agitate her like that!
I know why she's doing that. Shion wants to protect Sadako for as long as she can. She's trying to do what Satoshi told her to do. Takano didn't care one whit for Shion's feelings. Stepping over Keiichi's body, she approached Shion. I get it now! You killed Satoshi, didn't you? Isn't that the truth? Sorry, I don't like giving out secrets. so I'm not telling. Shion's body twitched. That had followed the dull sound of another gunshot. Just 2 dull sounds had stolen away the lively Sonozaki sisters. It didn't add up. I started shaking from fear when it hit me just how easily Takano can take away lives.
Is it that amusing for you to take away innocent lives? You monster!
Oh, so you want to die next? You were going to be the last one if you stayed quiet. Keiichi, Mion, and Shion died. The eldest one of us left was Rena. Rena didn't want to see Sadako and me die before she did.
So you were the culprit behind the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Do you think you're Oyashiro's proxy or something?
I'm not a proxy. I'm handing out divine punishment. It's too bad you're not going to see it. Soon enough, Oyashiro's wrath is going to destroy the whole village, but I'm the one who's going to make that happen. It's my curse. Yes, I'm going to become Oyashiro. I'm going to become something more than human. You'll never understand how I feel. You'll never understand how wonderful it is to become a god.
I don't think that's possible. No matter how much you try to become Oyashiro, it won't work. It's just a game for you. You'll never become Oyashiro.
I will. The process has already begun. Rena laughed at her. Takano seemed very upset to hear that laugh. What's so funny?
It's impossible. Because Oyashiro is already here.
Those were Rena's last words. Well, it's your turn now, Sadako. I don't really care if you live or die, but you're a living research sample. Tokyo has a bounty on capturing you alive. But it's not very much. My share would have run out with just a trip to Europe. If I capture you alive, nothing good would happen to you anyway. They'll probably open up your skull and probe through your brains while you're still alive. Besides, I was your friend. I think it might be kinder to shoot you dead right here. Which would you prefer?
I can't decide that!
Sadako shouted back, her eyes were full of tears. Let's do a quiz then. Which one is green? Broccoli or cauliflower?
It's called... No, it's broccoli.
As soon as I heard that same dull sound, Sadako stopped moving. Takano smiled and said, "Good girl," to what used to be Sadako. This is really such a lovely and beautiful night, don't you agree? So, you're going to kill me too? Yes, I will kill you. The corpse of the Queen Carrier is the key to this mission. You're going to become an ugly political tool far away in Tokyo, and then the legend of Oniofuji will finally come to an end. I know how you're planning to kill me. Oh, you do? Let's hear it. I'm not going to say it, but I know. It's Watanagashi. She wants to do the real Watanagashi using my body. I'm sure she's planning to cut open my stomach and pull out my guts. To do that, she'll make me inhale some chemical to put me to sleep. I vaguely remember that part. I guess you already know. Good night, Rika. One of the dogs approached me with a handkerchief soaked in a chemical substance.
Wait a minute, Takano.
Everyone's dead, but you're begging for your life. That's not it. If you're going to kill me, do it without putting me to sleep. Takano hadn't expected to hear that. Even though she was surprised, she nodded with a slight smile. Hanyu was also surprised to hear that. It would obviously be a terrible way to die. What are you thinking? Wouldn't you prefer an easy and painless death? You know it's going to be horrible, right? I'm going to cut open your stomach while you're still alive. I don't want to forget about it. Yes, I'm doing this so I'll remember. I'm not going to forget about it. The picture of you cutting open my stomach will be forever burned into my soul. I'm never going to forget that. Next time I see you, I'll remember you did this to me. What are you still cooking up in your little head? I guess you're smarter than the other kids. At least you get to have a chance to scream for your life. I'm not going to let you do that, though. They forced something other than a handkerchief inside my mouth. It was a gag. With that in, I couldn't close my mouth, leading my saliva to start overflowing. Soon another van arrived. More mountain dogs came out of it. They probably had to get rid of the bodies. They grabbed the corpses of my friends and stuffed them into body bags. After that, they sprayed a bunch of water on the ground to clean up the blood. They asked Takano how many shots she fired and started looking around for the bullets. They were erasing all the evidence. By the time the night was over, there'd be no more proof left. They pulled my hands behind my back and bound them with handcuffs. My ankles were tied up too. They also tied my ankles and wrists together. My body was bent like a shrimp and I was no longer able to walk. My mouth was covered so I couldn't even talk. I couldn't move, talk, or even express myself in any other way. They'd taken away everything that made me human. Therefore, I wasn't human anymore. I was just a toy named Furude Rika, a toy to give Takano joy. The car started moving, and it seemed like we were going back the way we came, but I didn't care anymore. At the time of my death approached, some of my forgotten memories came back to me. That's right. I was killed like this so many times. Every time I repeated my life, Takano got pleasure out of killing me. Somebody rubbed my head. Were they trying to comfort me? I shook my head to try to refuse, and they laughed at me as I did so.
Rika? Rika?
Hanyu showed up. She couldn't hold back her devastated tears.
Again? It didn't work. It didn't work again. Again!
When I saw Hanyu's painful tears, I was convinced. I was wrong. Hanyu was not just a bystander. She was just too scared to face reality, because she can't stand the pain anymore. Hanyu wants a happy future, too. But her hopes were betrayed countless times, and she was hurt far too much. For some reason, seeing her sorrowful expression calmed me down. Perhaps Hanyu was crying in my place. It's okay, Hanyu. We did what we could. We worked very hard. We were getting so close to changing our fate for real. It still didn't work out, but for some reason, I feel satisfied. I never fought this hard in my life. I never learned so many things. Because I can repeat my life endlessly, I've been taking each one for granted. But everyone else is taking their lives seriously. I wasn't learning anything because I wasn't doing that. But I finally understand. I learned something from this life, and I put all my effort into it. So, I'm sad I didn't make it, but I feel satisfied just the same. It's a strange kind of satisfaction. I wonder how many memories I can keep. I get the sense I'm going to lose my memory of this evening. If that's the case, I'll lose my memory of seeing Takano's face. I finally found out Takano is the mastermind. Am I going to repeat the same world again, not knowing the truth? She killed my friends as if merely killing some bugs. I don't want to forget that. No matter how hard my death will be, I need to remember Takano's face. Hanyu, I'm not going to give up. I don't care if I can't recall this memory. I'll continue to live my life. I don't care if I can only live in this June, and that eventually I'll only be able to go back to the Nayawata Nagashi. If that's my life, so be it.
I'm not going to forget either. If you don't remember, I'll tell you the truth.
Hanyu, I knew it. You acted like an unfeeling bystander, but that was because you were afraid of the pain.
I also want to have a happy future with everyone.
Hanyu started to cry like a baby. She's so stupid. She decided to abandon hope because she didn't want to deal with the sadness she always felt on this night. But she ended up hurt and devastated anyway. Hanyu, are you happy this world is ending just like you predicted? I decided not to ask her such an unpleasant question. The car stopped, and 2 men pulled me out of the vehicle. We returned to the Furude Shrine. There were several men waiting in front of the offertory box. Nearby, there were countless sharp knives laid out on the ground. They were going to cut open my stomach with those tools and pull out my intestines. They took off all my clothes and they left the gag inside my mouth and the handcuffs around my wrists. I wasn't embarrassed to be naked in front of them. Rather, I was furious. that Takano was getting joy out of doing this to me. Don't forget this humiliation. The pain I'm about to experience should be carved into my soul forever. I'm not going to forget this. Everyone worked together and we finally revealed who was behind it all. If I forget this, my friend's efforts and death will have been in vain. I needed to stay alive as long as I can, so I'll remember the pain. Hanyu, don't look away. You have to watch. Remember this forever.
This is really the only way I can help you? This is all I can do because I can't touch or talk to anyone?
That's good enough. If you continue to stare at me, I can endure this pain. Hanyu nodded and sat next to me while continuing to cry. We looked up at the night sky together. The moon was shining brightly, as if taking pity upon me. We also looked at the faces of my murderers. That beautiful moon was gradually stained red. It was getting cold. It was so painful. I consumed with the fear of not being able to do anything about this. But Hanyu's right next to me. That gives me comfort. It's not just Hanyu either. Everyone's here with me. Everyone's there watching me so I can stand this torture. That's why it wasn't painful. I didn't struggle. I didn't care about Takano's crazy laughter. This was such a wonderful world. We didn't overcome this fate, but I have no regrets. Of course, I'm still sad. I'm disappointed. My future was right in front of my eyes. My hand could almost reach it. Even so, we did what we could. I have to be proud of myself. Keiichi voiced his disagreement. He still felt that we could have done more. We were almost there. We almost defeated this fate. We didn't win not because our enemies were strong. We didn't win because we didn't try hard enough.
But all of you worked so hard together. I was watching. I saw the whole thing.
But it wasn't enough. If we had a will strong enough to overcome this fate, we could have created a miracle.
That's right. A miracle will happen and everyone believes in it.
Sadako, Rika, and everyone else worked so hard.
I'm sorry, Rika. You were brave enough to ask us for help, but I couldn't save you.
Sadako held my shoulder and cried. That's true. Everyone worked so hard, but it still didn't work out. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I'm going to die again, but I never felt so good about it. Learned so many things in this world.
Rika, I know. I know why the miracle didn't happen in this world.
Rena spoke gently, but she wasn't smiling at all.
Hey, did everyone really believe that we could create a miracle? If you're hoping for a future, but not everyone believes in it, then a miracle won't happen.
What are you saying, Rena? We were united. No one had doubts that we would overcome this fate. Right, Mion? Yeah, he's right, Rena. Everyone thought we could overcome it. Everyone believed that we could.
That's quite true. Even Rika believed in it. She finally believed that with our help she could change her destiny. I believed in it too, but I think there was someone who didn't believe. Who's that?
What? Who can it be?
Hey, you.
Rena turned to Hanyu and asked her a question.
Did you believe? Did you believe that we could overcome this fate? Even if you can't talk to us or touch us, you can still believe. If you believed in us, the miracle would have happened. Would something really have changed if I believed? I'm a powerless existence. I can't do anything. All I can do is watch and accept. You're saying that I could have made a miracle happen just by believing?
Yeah, you could have. Keiichi stated it clearly. He wasn't trying to blame her. He was just saying the truth.
That's right. There were 6 of us, and there were 7 of them. If you believe along with us, we would have had number 7 souls. The miracle could have happened. You don't make miracles happen by touching something or saying something. You make them happen by believing.
I'm sorry, I messed up that line. I really was gonna cry. Hanyu had realized this ending wasn't caused by fate. It was because she didn't believe. In other words, this happened because she was so weak as to accept this fate. She started crying again.
We don't even know your name, but you still needed to be brave enough to fight this fear and pain. You needed to have the courage to defeat fate. If you believe, we'd be moving on to a bright future. If your refusal to believe in it is the sole reason we couldn't reach it, then the responsibility is yours.
It was hard to believe that Rena could say something so harsh. Her words were piercing Hanyu's heart, but those words were necessary for me and for her. Only faith can create a miracle. It sounds like something you might hear in a fairy tale. It's not easy to put it into action. People suspect others. They don't trust others. It's easy not to have hope. It's so difficult to believe. That's why faith can make miracles happen.
Don't you realize that I can't even touch people? Don't you realize I can't even speak to them? You still think I can make a miracle happen just by believing in something? Listen, you're talking to me right now. I've never talked to you before, but I always knew you were there. I was always thinking how I could communicate with you. I always knew you were watching when we were all having fun hanging out together. But even if I want to be involved, you guys can't see me or hear my voice. You'll think that I'm a monster or something. I don't want people to think of me as a monster.
We never think of you that way. If you're with us, you're our friend.
Yeah, we wouldn't call our friend a monster.
It's your very heart that determines whether you're a monster or not, right, Xion? Indeed. I guess I'm no more like a monster in that sense.
You won't call me a monster even though I have horns on my head? We won't call you that just because of the way you look. They're actually cute, you know?
Watch out for Rena! She might try to take you home! I realized then I was standing with everyone, looking down my own body. I see. I'm finally dead. I looked at my bloody body by my feet. It upset me that Takano was still enjoying this torture, but that body remained was nothing but a shell.
Are you okay, Rika? Me, don't you think it's a bit strange to ask that question to a dead person?
Everyone smiled wryly. It's my first time feeling so much love and death. Everyone is already dead. That's why I feel happy to be dead, to join them. Suddenly the world got darker, and my body started to sink downward. Give me a moment. I could feel myself disappearing. I still had the sensation of my friend's hands on mine. Let's go, everyone. Yeah, let's go.
You're also one of us. Come on, stop crying, and let's go.
My vision had gone dark, but somehow I could still see. Rena offered her hand to Hanyu, and Hanyu slowly took it. Hanyu, I don't know what sad experience you had before we met, but I'm sure my friends will accept you.
Hello? Is it still going to be fun if I'm involved? Are you sure they'll accept me?
Yes, so come along with us. Rena touched Hanyu's hand. It felt like everyone had laid their hands on top too. If only they had hands to do so. Let's go, Hanyu. Let's accept this sorrow, so we can embrace joy as well. Believe in the bright future that's waiting for us. The miracle will happen. We will obtain it. Okay? Yes, Hanyu said with a definite nod. What's outside the well? Is it something worth fighting for? What's outside the well? Is it something worth getting hurt for? What's outside the well? I'm going to fight and get hurt in order to find out. I'm sure what is waiting is a beautiful world, even if I get to the bottom of the well again. The key to the new world is my willingness to get out of here. Even if I can get out or not, I'll eventually get to the new world. Okay, give me a moment. I have to say
face.
I messed up too, because I knew it was sad.
Sorry.
Okay, I think I'm gonna stop it here. We'll read this later, okay? We'll check out what Takano does later, okay? We'll end it here for tonight. Sorry. It's already 11:30. We're done. Thank you for showing up. I'll see you tomorrow and we'll finish Minagoroshi officially. Bye.